this. But I really only find buses are good to move like people from and to and from a destination. So like a bus is really good for like if you have an airport, for instance, you know, having a parking lot and you say you can't expand your airport, for instance, like you having a parking lot a little ways away and then having a bus move people back and forth on a relatively short distance. That's what buses are good for. Buses do work long distance, but if you use a bus to go long distance, now you're competing with a train, and the train is infinitely better. Trains can move more people, and they're way more efficient. And they are on their own dedicated track. You know what I mean? Yeah. Buses are really only good for rapid transit over short distances, but it's really applicative. So meaning it only in certain scenarios, right? Because what's also way better at moving a lot of people over short distances? A subway. So if I have the cash, I would 9 times out of 10 build a subway or an elevated train over building a bus line. Bus lines don't really make sense to me. The buses are easier to set up, and you can set them up in a pinch if you really need them. Yeah, Josh, that's exactly it. If you have the money, spring for a subway, like 9 times out of 10. All right, guys. I'm going to give you guys some footage here, and then we'll jump into space news. Hi. Hey. SDS-93 mission control. I was going to watch that to start space news, Rocket Guy, if you really want, which is it's really not space news, but maybe we could do that as like a Q&A thing after we share what's going on. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Science and technology. There we go. Hey, Simulated. I hope all is well. Yeah, everything's good, dudes. I will be right back. We're gonna watch some shuttle footage here, and then we'll jump into space news. And then if we have time after that, I'll play F1. Play F1 Manager. All right. I'm gonna go grab a pack of smokes. I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Matt Mellis. I'm an aerospace engineer for NASA, and I worked on the shuttle program for a good number of years. And I'm
It
here
was a
with
joke.
my
I don't smoke.
colleague today, Kevin Burke, who participated in the acquisition and deployment of the 30 or so clips that you're going to see in just a few minutes. Now, and Kevin, thanks for being here today.
Glad to be here, Matt.
What you're going to see is what I consider to be the best of the best state-of-the-art imagery on both film and high-definition video that the Space Shuttle program is capable of producing today. And not only does it serve a technical purpose, and we'll get into a lot of that detail as we get into the movies here, but it also serves as an enormous inspirational and educational aspect for all of NASA's stakeholders. There's a number of intents that we have for this production, and one of them is to pay tribute and commemorate the shuttle program, which has essentially been a 30-year program, and it's nearing completion as we go to final print with this production. We also want to pay tribute to the men and women that made all of this imagery possible over the years of different missions and launches that we've had. And also to give a view that not very many people see outside the NASA family of these fantastic pictures that are used largely for engineering purposes, and to let everyone on the outside of the NASA family have insight as to what goes on with the shuttle when it launches. I think this is a very moving set of clips that you're about to see. We're opening here with this somewhat stylized view of one of the launch sequences that actually is going to play out in the upcoming clips. And I've got a little soft focus on it, and thought we would open it up with a couple of fun facts about the shuttle. It really is an amazing piece of equipment. It has phenomenal amount of fuel that it burns over the 8 minutes during its trip to orbit. And when they get up there, In that short 8 minutes, they're going about 5 miles a second, which is a pretty spectacular achievement for a piece of machinery. So this is how it all happens. This is how the machine does its job, and the film speaks volumes.
This is camera view E19. We commonly refer to this as Echo 19. And it's a 16 millimeter camera with a 10 millimeter field of view for the lens, the focal length of the lens. And it's running at 400 frames a second. So the effective shutter speed is really 1/1200th of a second.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, this is all a slow motion event. And basically, you're going to see the 6 seconds prior to launch of the vehicle as the space shuttle main engines turn on. Now, the purpose of this camera, they all have different purposes. Most of these, if not all of these cameras that you're going to see in this production, are engineering cameras to look for different engineering aspects of the launch process. And so the purpose of this one is to check to make sure ignition is going off okay, which is what you're seeing here. Main engine start is just happening, and you can see the engines are starting one at a time. This particular camera looks at engines number 1 and 3, right? Is that what this is?
Yep.
And so you can see them, they're starting to fire up. Those sparkers that you see are there to make sure that any unburned hydrogen gets ignited before it floats around and collects in some place where it can ignite later and cause problems. Again, you're seeing the engines sort of turn on here. And so we're roughly coming into about 5 seconds before liftoff. The computers are checking and validating that everything's A-OK. And there's a little bit of a pitch over that the whole vehicle does as a consequence of these engines thrusting off the center of gravity. And when the whole vehicle snaps back and is straight up in the air, the engines or the boosters ignite and the whole thing takes off. Great photography here. I mean, you can see all this flow phenomenon going on inside the engines. Now, the space shuttle main engines are burning hydrogen and oxygen, and I'll talk about some of the fun facts about that later on in some of the other clips that you're going to see. But here you can see the engines have stabilized and everything is A-OK. And in just a few moments, you'll see the boosters fire off. Did we talk about the time code? I can't remember. So.
No, we haven't talked about the time code. The time code that you'll see, the LED display on the right-hand side, is actually positioned between the two sprockets on the 16 millimeter frame. And the time code is UTC time code. It's an IRIG-B format. And you'll see that it's 21 hours, being UTC at 5:02 p.m. local time, 2 minutes, 11 seconds. And the 3 digits that are moving in the upper right-hand corner would be representing 1,000th of a second. The solid number 1, the second digit from the top, is indicating the synchronization of the camera as more of a technical parameter. And that is on every camera to synchronize the field of view, synchronize the time.
This is pretty cool. You can see some of the oxygen, that cloud of vapor there was from the oxygen fuel umbilical. Of course, the solid rocket boosters have now ignited, and the whole vehicle is lifting off the pad. And you can see sort of the glory of this moment. I mean, there's an enormous amount of fuel being burned. One little thing that I love is if you look at the sky in the background, and this was a very clear day. These pictures were selected, or these movies were selected because of the wonderful photography that we got on this day. And you can see the sky deep into this dark blue. And that's because, as Kevin will talk later on, that we got into color correction that we do post launch to make sure that we're capturing all of these the events that are going on, all of the flow events. So here the vehicle is clearing the pad, and we're on our way.
This view that you're seeing here is camera E8 or Echo 8, and it's a 16 millimeter camera with a 10 millimeter lens.
Yeah, you can see the boosters now coming off the pad, and one of the amazing things that a lot of folks don't know about the shuttle is bolted to the mobile launch platform is it's basically through 4 bolts on each solid rocket booster. And the intent of these cameras is to watch that bolt, which is an explosive nut bolt arrangement, and the bolt weighs about 100 pounds, I should say. And these nuts fracture and the bolts slap down into a holder that you're actually sort of seeing in the foreground here, and they literally release the vehicle from the pad and allow it to take off. So for obvious reasons, we have a camera on each one of these explosive hold down posts, and to make sure that they're operating. They're a critical aspect of the launch process. We want to make sure that they're operating good. So you can see that puff of smoke coming out. And actually, if you want to put the remote on a frame-by-frame stop action, you can actually see the flash as it explodes. Now, Kevin, here's where you guys really did a fantastic job of capturing the detail in the plume through this automatic aperture on the cameras. You want to talk about that a bit?
Sure. Many of the 16 millimeter cameras that are on the MLP and pad structure have an automatic exposure control. It's the only real way to keep the exposure, the high dynamic range exposure from pre-ignition of the SRBs through the liftoff out of the frame of view. So the camera has basically an automatic exposure.
Right. Now look at the sky on the left thing, and see how it gets dark. Actually, on both sides, you can see how it turns that deep blue. That's the automatic aperture in action right there, right?
Allowing it to see the detail in the pad structure and also in the flame.
Yeah. I mean, when you see a launch in real life, you can't see any detail with the naked eye in the plume. It's just like looking into the sun almost. It's so bright. We can see some of the water from the launch pad. There's a cooling water that comes out. We'll talk about that later. That's splashing onto this quartz protective glass that the camera's behind. Of course, they're in these explosion-proof containers, right, to keep the cameras safe and sound. No cameras were harmed in this in the making of this movie.
That's right. The cameras are in an explosion-proof box, which is nitrogen purged, and the quartz glass on the front protects the lens. In most cases, there are some cases where there's damage, and if that's the case, the lenses will be repolished, reground, or whatever's necessary to bring them back into optimal condition. Well, Matt, this next view coming up is Echo 18 or Camera 18, and it's a 10 millimeter lens and looking at the TSM or the tail service mast carrier disconnect.
Yeah, the umbilicals, there's one on each side of the orbiter, one for the liquid oxygen fueling and one for the liquid hydrogen fueling. Those are primary purposes. You can see there's a lot of other instrumentation on these things in feed lines. But these cameras, their intention is to make sure we get good retraction of this. And there's actually a huge 20,000-pound mast that pulls these things inside the tail service mast for the door to slam shut and protect them from the hostile environment on the outside. Now, these umbilicals are about 4 feet wide by 6 foot tall, so you don't really get a sense of scale when you're looking at these in these movies. But they're as big as an average-sized human being, so they're quite large.
One of the interesting photographic challenges that we run into in photographing the TSM carrier disconnect from the inside of the tail service mast is once that door closes, it's pitch black in there. So there's a set of series of tungsten lamps that provide illumination, and the vibrations, the tremendous amount of vibrations that are induced during the liftoff, really rattle those lights, and keeping them from having those bulbs break has been quite a challenge. In fact, they are in the process of changing those lights over to the new LED arrays that provide more stability and less frequency of having the bulbs go out before the film runs out.
They're a lot more robust to that kind of environment.
Okay, Matt, this is Echo 001, and this is one of the 4 cameras on the edges of the MLP deck. This camera happens to be on the northeast corner of the MLP deck, and it's a 16 millimeter camera, as all the ones on the MLP are, and 10 millimeter focal length. It's a wide angle view, and the effective shutter speed is about 1/1200th of a second.
For our viewers, you can see that we pulled a little bit away back from the vehicle now. We're taking a little bit of a wider view. There's the SSMEs just firing off there, and you can see the plume in the background growing. In fact, if you look carefully against the plume there, you can see a couple of cameras. Why don't you mention what those are, Kev?
Those are some MOTV cameras, operational television cameras that are used for surveillance of the vehicle. They and are piped back live to the launch control complex. The signals.
So the SSMEs are firing. You can actually see the launch tower on the right-hand side of the screen. And again, they go on for about 6 seconds. Computers are making sure that everything's working. And at T-0, those boosters are going to fire, and you'll see a big puff of smoke come out of the flame trench there, and it'll get sucked back down in as the boosters come off the pad. And these two sort of structures, one standing just to the left of the left booster and one standing just to the right of the right booster, are called rainbirds. And there's some piping sort of flat against the launch pad as well that sort of connect all these things together. There go the boosters firing. And all of this fresh water, 300,000 gallons to be exact, comes pouring out of those rainbirds and onto the launch pad to deaden the acoustic noise and cool the pad down. So that's where the water comes from in some of these camera shots.
And here you can see the AEC, the automatic exposure control on the cameras taking over as the booster plume comes into view, and allows to see the AEC allows you to see the detail both in the plume as well as in the vehicle and the structure itself. And you can also see very good detail on the deck of the MLP.
Now, we talk a little bit about the purpose of each one of these cameras, and this one is to look for some structural anomalies on the vehicle, some thermal insulation failures we might have on the tiles or the blankets, etc., and how the water is getting dispersed on the pad. And also we're looking at debris, and actually you can see here that we've got quite a bit of debris in the field, and debris is a big concern for the shuttle folks, and we want to keep an eye on it to make sure we don't have anything that's going to threaten the vehicle.
Now, Matt, you can see that this is this is camera Echo 4, E004. It's on the corner of the MLP deck, and very similar in field of view to the camera we just looked at. One of the things I like to point out is you can see one of the camera box enclosures we were talking about a little bit earlier in the left-hand side of the frame, right in front of the left SRB.
Yeah, and in fact, as we mentioned earlier in the piece, there's about 125 cameras or so, actually more, that document any given launch. And so for brevity in this piece and to make it watchable, we had to have a lot of film hit the cutting room floor, and it was really difficult for me to cut a lot of it out because I loved all of the footage. I'm a fan of each and every camera, but that little camera there didn't get its day in the shade. That film of the booster had to we'll have to have that for the director's cut in the future.
And just to give you a perspective, this camera originally captured this scene at 400 frames a second. So it's being played back at 24 frames. So it's about 1/16 of the speed that it was actually captured at to give us a real-time view.
Now you can see here how absolutely gorgeous the day was. And as we mentioned earlier, it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So in the film industry, they call this magic hour, and there's no question about it that this is one of the best times of day to take photographs of the shuttle. You have these rich colors and just a beautiful blue sky to sort of highlight all of this. So I find these pictures second to none in all of the launch imagery that's been taken. I should say that these boosters shed about 10,000 pounds of mass per second once they're lit up. And that's each, so it's 20,000 pounds combined. And you can really get the feel of that awesome magnitude by looking at these images. There you see a piece of debris in the right, sort of doing a ballet in slow motion there. This is some tie-down string from some water membranes under the SRBs that we'll talk about in a few moments. You know, teams go through this. This is engineering footage, and the teams go through this and identify everything they see in it.
Okay, this is camera Echo 36, and this camera is located on the fixed service structure at the 255-foot level. We refer to the fixed service structure as the FSS. It's a 16 millimeter camera with a 16 millimeter focal length lens, and the effective shutter speed is about a 1/1200th of a second, similar to some of the other ones that we've seen.
This is a long clip. In fact, this is probably the longest clip that I sort of chose for the production. There's a lot going on in here, but it looks a little boring for a while because those engines are on for a long time. So we're still at 400 frames a second here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So there you see the main engines igniting. You can see all of this water pouring into the flame trench. There's the big flash, the hydrogen and the oxygen lighting up. I should tell you that coming out of that external tank, inside there are the cryogenic propellants, liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen. 750 gallons a second of liquid hydrogen is pouring into that engine cluster, and 280 gallons a second of liquid oxygen. All of these things being combined effectively instantly to create this fantastic combustion process, burning 3,000 pounds of propellants to turn it into water vapor every second. And it's almost invisible when it comes out of the engines. So the engines are turning on now, and you can sort of see them glowing against the water pouring into the flame trench. That water's there primarily to deaden the acoustic noise and to keep things cool. And you've got a good look at the belly of the orbiter here. One of the purposes of this camera is to look to see if we lose any tiles due to the shock of ignition of the solid rocket boosters. Now, you're going to see the boosters turn on in just a couple of minutes, and you see those red sort of ribbed surfaces there inside the flame trench. Those are actually membranes to hold water, and those will get burned away, and you'll sort of see that in the film when the boosters fire. There you see them right there, and there's water in there that's sort of getting jarred loose and turning into steam. And I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, that it prevents sort of a recirculation of the exhaust at liftoff. Probably again acoustic deadening noise. And there you see those boosters firing off. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you see the umbilical falling backwards there. And then look at how the space shuttle main engines are punching through that water in the flame trench. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is quite a dramatic shot, and you can see the auto exposure control on the lens, as we've talked about on some of the other views, really helping to be able to see the detail on the SSMEs punching that hole, as well as looking at the plume from the SRB, and seeing the edge of the belly of the orbiter too.
See, the SSMEs aim a little bit off kilt there, and you can see them hitting the upper part of the mobile launch platform as they rise off. Amazing that they capture all that detail in the SRB plumes. It's good stuff. It's a fantastic clip. It really is.
This is camera Echo 41. This is on the fixed service structure on the FSS at the 255-foot level. It's a 10 millimeter focal length on the 16 millimeter camera. It's a really interesting view, and Matt, you want to provide some more details about what we're seeing?
Yeah, you can see the boosters have already fired, and this big umbilical structure that you see swinging back is actually very massive. The plate on the end of that is about 1.5 by 3 foot square. You'll see a close-up of that in a little bit. That's the ground umbilical to hook up to the venting for the hydrogen tank, and it's got some nitrogen and helium purge lines and some instrumentation to go with it. Pretty complicated structure. You get a picture of that in a minute. If you look at the MLP, or the mobile launch platform, you'll see all the water coming out of the rainbirds under the launch pad. And again, our active exposure kicking in there and giving us a great shot of the plumes as the vehicle clears the tower. Look on the right, you can just see a tad of the SSME burning there, that little blue cone. Fantastic detail there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great shot. Echo 40 is one of my favorite shots, Matt, and this is on the fixed service structure on the FSS at the 275-foot level, just a bit higher than the two previous views we saw. And this is really an incredible view of not only the orbiter, but the beautiful ocean, the late spring day in Florida, and very nice lighting on the tank, and as well as you'll see on the orbiter surfaces.
Yeah, it truly is magic hour on this. That orange tank, for those that aren't all that familiar with the shuttle, that's foam. That's insulating foam on the tank to keep the cryogenic propellants cold on the inside. Liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen are pretty chilly when they get into their liquid state. You can actually virtually look into the cockpit here. If you look carefully, you can see the ocean right through the window, just briefly there for a moment. Kind of fun. There's Discovery in all its glory. This engineering view is to look at any possible issues with the tiles or the thermal protection system on the vehicle. And look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. You can see some of the flakes of ice sort of tracking the vehicle as it moves upwards. Remember, as we mentioned earlier, that 3,000 pounds of water vapor a second is coming out of the space shuttle main engines on the back. It's pretty incredible, and it's virtually invisible. All right, this view is of a structure we call the GUP, which is the ground umbilical carrier plate, which attaches to the ground umbilical carrier assembly, sometimes called the GUCA. That plate is about 1.5 feet by 3 feet. It's a sizable plate. You don't really capture the scale in this, and you can see the vehicle is now lifted up and it's taking off. That umbilical peels back right at solid rocket booster separation or detonation.
And Matt, this is camera 33, and this is on the FSS. It's at the 235-foot level, and is using a fairly long focal length lens. And you can tell by the field of view that it is a long focal length lens, and it's 75 millimeters.
Now, if you look, you can see the boosters kind of surging. It's not a continuous pass. It sort of pushes and then slows down a little bit. And what you're seeing there is the natural frequency of the booster thrust. I believe it was on the order of about 7 hertz, 7 cycles a second, and you can see that go by and hear the aft skirt of the boosters going by with a really nice tight shot of the exhaust.
This camera view is on the pad perimeter. It's located at camera site 3. It's about 1,273 feet away from the vehicle, and it's the first in a series of the 35 millimeter cameras, which we'll be seeing in the upcoming sequences. There's a lens on here. The focal length is 500 millimeters or so, and the effective exposure is a 1/450th of a second, and the camera's running at 180 frames per second.
Yeah, it's a beautiful shot, and this is going to, as Kevin said, it's first in the 35 millimeter shots. They're a little better quality because they've just got more surface area to put an image on. You can see the SSMEs firing and all in nominal operation here. And as soon as they pull away from the pad, you'll see the left booster in the background, centered between the 2 service tail masts, and just a gorgeous shot right there, looking at the steam coming off the SSMEs. And this is a fantastic capture of what remains behind after the vehicle clears the towers. You have all of this water and steam being pushed around in this amazing hostile acoustic environment. I mean, look at what's going on there. This is all acoustic noise and shock coming from the boosters and the SSMEs.
Camera 63 is located on the pad perimeter. One of the camera sites. It's 1,270 feet from the vehicle, and it's using a 105 millimeter lens. The camera's running at 180 frames a second, and that's pushing about 630 feet of film through the camera per minute. Quite a fast rate, especially for 35 millimeter.
Yeah, you can see the sparkers going there, just getting ready to turn the main engines on. And in the background, you'll see the water tower. That's where all that fresh water comes from to flood the pad, to keep it chilled and deaden a lot of that acoustic noise that we've already seen what it looks like in the plume. Absolutely gorgeous day, really accentuated by this shot. Blue sky in the background. Goes great with the white exhaust plume coming out there. And you can see a lot of splashing and stuff jetting out from all different directions at the bottom. You'll see more of that in the shots that are coming up. This shot is going to be the first of a bunch of different views as we march counterclockwise around the pad to look at it from different angles. And there you can see the boosters have fired, and you see it all coming out the other side of the flame trench. And beautiful shot of it coming off the pad.
And the lighting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon on this late spring day is just about perfect from this camera view. Of course, it won't be perfect for all the views, but certainly is a nice angle and really illuminates the vehicle as well as the structure very nicely.
Yeah, I like when the vehicle leaves. I left a lot of these shots run long because I thought it was kind of neat to see what happens afterwards, and you can just see the whole service structure here being engulfed in steam and exhaust from the solid rocket motors.
Now, one interesting thing about this particular 35 millimeter format is earlier we mentioned about the time code. And the iRig time code is burned in with an LED display, and on the 35 millimeter format, it's actually in part of the image area because the 35 millimeter format has 4 sprockets per frame. So there's no way to position the LED time code in between the sprockets like we can on the 16 millimeter views.
Right. So if you looked at the 16 millimeter, you could actually see the sprockets at the top and the bottom of each frame, and those aren't visible in the 35 as you see here.
The camera number is on the lower right hand display of the LED time code, and it's in this case it's camera number 62. So the 35 millimeter format also allows us to put a camera designator number that's fairly often used, just to help for viewing purposes and tracking purposes. This again is a 105 millimeter lens, and is on the pad perimeter, approximately 1,270 feet from the vehicle.
Look at the absolute force that all of this stuff is coming out of there. I've talked earlier in the piece about how much is coming out of the solid rocket boosters, 20,000 pounds combined, and then the SSMEs are losing 3,000 pounds of liquid propellants a second. And that really shows up here when you're looking underneath the launch platform. You can see that all of that stuff doesn't have anywhere to go, which is why it's vectored out on both sides, so it can be sort of safely directed away from the vehicle, so there's no rebounding or sort of backflow, so to speak.
And one thing we haven't had a chance to talk about earlier is how the cameras are triggered. Currently, the camera's all triggered using the POX, or the photo optical control system, which triggers all the cameras on the pad perimeter, on the fixed service structure, as well as the MLP. And it's quite a sophisticated system to synchronize and trigger all the cameras based on the launch clock.
Yeah, it's undoubtedly a very complex system to have all these cameras operate flawlessly for each launch. They're very important, if not critical, for shuttle launches, and it's an amazing achievement that all the men and women who work on this are able to do it with such a degree of reliability every launch. Another shot here is, as I said, moving around counterclockwise. You see the SSMEs, or the boosters, are just firing, and there you see the gup falling back, as we talked about earlier, the umbilical assembly.
This view is using the same 105 millimeter focal length lens that the other two views we just looked at, and again is about 1,200 feet from the vehicles where the camera site is located.
You know, this was a really unusual day, because you just mentioned earlier that, you know, from all views is the lighting going to be as good, but this is about as good as it gets. I mean, each and every one of these camera views is well exposed, both from an engineering and a beauty standpoint. They're all very, very nice shots, and it's why we selected 124 to be the predominant content in this movie. There's the water tower, by the way, in the foreground. It's just about to get engulfed with the exhaust.
This is a Dog 68. It's a 35 millimeter camera, and it's really intended to be a documentary camera. So it's running at 28 frames per second, not really a high-speed camera. So it's almost real-time, a real-time camera view. It's just a really beautiful shot, and because it's a documentary camera, we're able to enlarge the aperture so that the timing block isn't taking up image area, and present it in its widescreen view, and I think it's quite dramatic.
Yeah, from a beauty standpoint, this is probably at the top of my list for favorites. It's just gorgeous quality, fantastic color saturation, and very unusual for shuttle photography to be so beautiful at the same time.
So Echo 55 begins our series of tracking cameras. Echo 55 is mounted on a kineto tracking mount, or KTM, which we commonly refer to it as, and it's located at CS1, about 1,200 feet from the vehicle.
This is a nice shot because you can see there's a bit of a distortion cloud here that we're shooting through, and what that is hydrogen being burned off from the fueling system. They burn off any excess hydrogen to safely combust it, and so that's what we're seeing here, and it's really gorgeous. as the vehicle sort of comes out of that and goes into its roll program, clearing the tower. Again, just a fantastically well lit photograph on this day. Some of the white things that you see falling off there are paper covers, which protect some of the order maneuvering system engines. We'll talk about those later. But Kevin, these are all manually operated, right? I mean, there are human beings behind the scenes doing this tracking now.
Yes, this KTM, or the kinetic tracking mount, has about 4 cameras that are mounted on it. And this particular camera, Echo 55, is one of a pair of cameras and is intended to look at the top half of the vehicle, while the other camera is intended to look at the bottom portion of the vehicle.
Right, and we'll see that in the next shot. We'll have one of the views from the bottom of the stack on the next one. In fact, our intent is to have in the deleted scenes on this disc a set of camera pair views sort of pieced together so you can see them simultaneously. So look for that in the extra features. This is fantastic. Now they're completely done with their roll program and sort of on their way.
Yeah, the intent of that camera shot is only for the first 1,200 feet of the ascent. Is really the intention of that view, and that takes about 18 to 20 seconds, I believe.
Okay, now this is camera 52, and this is, of course, is at the bottom of the stack now. So it's a little different view, and but part of a camera pair again.
Right. This camera is, as you said, is 52, and this is located on camera site 2, and is about the same distance, 1,200 feet, 1,270 feet from the vehicle.
Nice shot of the SSMEs there. It always amazes me how transparent the exhaust coming out of the SSMEs is.
Now, this kinetic tracking mount is controlled by an operator, manually controlled by an operator who's sitting in the LCC on the second floor below the firing room. And the person, he or she, is using a trackball to track the vehicle. And it's pretty tricky because they're just looking at a little video monitor. And the vehicle is moving much faster in real time than we're seeing. We're seeing it at 1/5 the speed in this particular case of what it is in real time. This kinetic tracking mount also has HD TV cameras that are mounted that are used for what we'll call quick look, what's called quick look, to look at these views in real time and then in near real time when they start the image analysis. This is done while the film is getting processed and transferred.
That was a fantastic shot, seeing the sun go right in between the two plumes. And in fact, it gives you an idea how bright these plumes are to the naked eye, because the sun, as it passed through there, wasn't much brighter than the plumes that you saw. Wonderful shot showing the column of fire that the vehicle rises on, and it really contrasts nicely with the blue. Again, highlighting why STS-124 was really the correct mission to sort of springboard off of, to show all the beautiful film.
This is camera 57. This is at CS6, again 1,200 feet from the pad or so, and we're looking at the bottom half of the vehicle. As I mentioned earlier, the camera is mounted on a tracker. A KTM tracker has 4 or 5 different cameras on there, and this is the lower half film camera looking at the bottom of the vehicle.
And you can see the paper covers come off the RCS engines. Those are Tyvek covers, just same kind of material that you put on your house when building it. And those covers are there in case they get a squall or a little storm while the shuttle's out on the pad. Not uncommon in Florida, and we can't afford to have water inside those engines, so we put those paper covers on there, and they have these little parafoils that inflate, sort of tear the cover off. They're just adhered with an adhesive of some kind. So you'll see a lot of that white paper coming off during these launch shots. Beautiful shot looking up the tail end of the stack. And possibly on the deleted features or the deleted scenes on this disc, we're going to try to edit a piece together showing the camera pair, the views from the camera pairs pieced together, and it should look pretty nice. So look at that on our deleted scenes feature on the disc.
This is Echo 225. As you can see, it's already in flight. It's a really interesting view. It's a medium range tracking camera. The mount and the camera are located at UCS 4, which is about 2.4 miles north of the pad.
One of the reasons I selected this shot to be included on the DVD is because I thought it was really striking and really beautiful how in their roll program, as they went into their roll, the sun sort of peeks over like it does here, and you can see the name pop out, and slowly the whole orbiter becomes lit with the evening sun. And the textures are fantastic here. You can see the thermal blankets, you can see some of the thermal exposure to the thermal blankets, you see some variation in color, and you can see the tiles literally make out the boundaries of the tiles there. So really a wonderful piece of footage, and a remarkable contribution to the DVD from a photography standpoint.
The lens that's on the camera is an 150-inch Bashir lens. It's a cat-eye dioptric lens, so it's got a mirror surface. And it's about 4,000 millimeters focal length if you converted the inches to millimeters. Just to give a perspective, Matt, the weight of this lens is about 250 pounds, just the lens itself. It's a huge lens and really unbelievable piece of optics.
You can really see a lot of nice textures on this shot too, on the booster. If you look at the forward part of the booster, you can see the access panels, and that big line coming off of the external tank. That's actually the oxygen feed line on the external tank. That's where that 280 gallons a second of liquid oxygen are flowing through to the main engines. That feed line's about 17 inches in diameter, so it's a pretty beefy system.
And I think another thing to point out here is that this camera mount is manually tracked. So the operator is looking through a bore sight at the camera site, launch vibrations going on all around him or her, and keeping that vehicle dead center in the frame. And it's quite an amazing feat to be able to do that quite so accurately.
Yeah, they've done a great job of keeping on target every step of the way. Now they're getting a little further away, obviously, and you can see sort of the glow of those engines starting to come up against the bottom part of the stack there, as they call it, and lets you know that something's going on at the back end of that vehicle.
So the next series of shots we're going to see is the views from the HD cameras. And in this particular view, this is from STS-114, Return to Flight. So this was in July 26th of 2005. And we're about 2 miles from the pad, just south of pad 39B here. And the camera is cocked at a 45-degree angle to enable maximum use of the 16:9 aspect ratio that is available with the HD TV cameras.
Now it's important our viewers take a good look into the left window there. You can actually see Eileen Collins, who commanded this mission. You can see her suit inside the window. Absolutely amazing. And this is a first, right? This is a first in the program. We started using high-definition video after Columbia. And that was one of the first times we saw this level of detail in photography.
That is correct. So this particular camera view is EHV 225. This was recorded on STS 117. It was in June 2006. And the camera is running at 60 frames a second, as all the HD TV cameras do. The orientation of the camera is cocked at 45 degrees to make maximum use of the aspect ratio of the 16:9 frame to get as much of the vehicle, space shuttle vehicle, in the frame as possible.
This particular shot I chose because it's well exposed, and it shows a beautiful sequence in the roll program, but you also get this really nice vapor phenomenon as the vehicle accelerates to higher speeds. And this is not always visible to the for every launch. It's a consequence of atmospheric conditions, dew point, humidity, etc. So I thought it was kind of a nice touch to this particular image. This is the only long-range camera that made the final cut, and Kevin will give you the details about that in a moment, but I want you to look at the bottom of the tank there. As you saw, it just sort of became engulfed in flames. And you should know that this is a normal phenomenon in a shuttle launch. What's effectively occurring here is the exhaust gases coming out of the SRBs and the SSMEs are sort of expanding into the higher vacuum as they head into space. And the radiant heat from the expanded plumes becomes high enough to ignite some volatile gases that are caught up in this aerodynamic dead zone, so to speak, at the rear of the tank for a couple of moments during flight. But this is an amazing shot, Kevin, because it's from so far away. So why don't you explain what we're looking at here?
Yeah, Matt, the camera here is located at a place called Apollo Beach. It's within Cape Canaveral National Seashore. And the camera mount is about 20 miles north of the pad, so it's quite a distance away. This is a Brashear 150-inch lens, again about 4,000 millimeters. So quite a distance, and the tracker, as we mentioned earlier, is manually operated. So it's an operator looking through a scope and using a trackball to keep the vehicle in the field of view. It's also difficult for the operator, because of the distance, to see the vehicle at launch to sight the pad.
Yeah, it's just a tiny point of light, right? So
he or she grabs it on the fly, and it's quite a skill level that needs to be developed in order to do that.
Well, and of course we watched our solid rocket boosters separate, which is sort of at the tail end of what we can see with all of the tracking cameras. And there you see our boosters coming off, and they separated about 29 miles in altitude, about 2 minutes into flight, and they are recovered by divers out in the Atlantic Ocean. And although they appear to be falling back here, they're actually traveling another 15 miles or so up, just tumbling on their own forward momentum before they peak and then come back down in the Atlantic about 150 miles out, where the diving teams pick them up and bring them back for refurbishment. So this sort of brings us to the end of our production. Hope you guys have enjoyed the commentary. Kevin and I have enjoyed doing it today for you. And as the boosters sort of fade out and the external tank and the orbiter continue on their way to orbit, we want to dedicate this movie to all of the men and women over the 30 years of the program or so that have committed themselves to capturing all of these fine images. It's amazing work. It takes a lot of commitment, and it's extraordinarily tough to do so. And our hats off to them. So, Kevin, thanks for doing this with me.
Thank you.
It's been a wonderful endeavor, and hopefully we'll see each other again on the next space program. So, signing off.
I don't hate that. Gully, what is this? You want me to see? What is this? Yeah, no problem, SpaceX. Yeah. Fuel atomization. Fuel, that dude. There, look, there it is. There's atomizing fuel. Rocket same thing. Same thing. It's doing this. The carburetor's doing the same thing as the injector plate. But the vacuum from the pistons going up and down is pulling the fuel out of the jets. Pretty crazy, right? And then the secondary's open on the higher end to deliver more fuel. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, Gully, that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's the atomized fuel. You got to do that to make the rocket engine do. You have to see the spray right there. Yeah, the vacuum, the low pressure, is pulling this stuff this way, and then they have a venturi right there. It basically chokes the air coming in for a second, and then depressurizes it rapidly because it accelerates into a much higher volume very quickly. The resulting drop in pressure atomizes the fuel. They spread the air out. They basically spread the air out so the fuel can combine with it better. Yeah, the better atomization that you can get with a car, well, the more fuel efficient you're going to be. They're little shower heads. The jets are, yeah, kind of. Dude, I changed into deadlight. I'm staying with you for the all-nighter that is about to unfold. Nice car. Hey, nice car. Any combustion, really. Bingo. Yep. That noise is the supercharger. Yeah, there's a supercharger attached to that. Yeah, it makes the happiness happen. Yeah, okay. Anyway, Goalie, that's pretty cool. Thanks for that. Okay, all right. We got for space news, they did helicopter. They're doing more helicopter. Yeah. Guys, I'm going to try to keep space news relatively short today. The reason is because tomorrow is going to be a lot of space news, a lot of SLS stuff. Okay. More links. Yes, yeah, I prefer the sound of my 68 Pontiac with the short exhaust. Dart media briefing. That happening right now? Oh. Oh. Yeah. We don't really have the time for that. I could hear in that sound what's happening. Yeah. Anaphylactic, yeah, pretty cool, right? Oh, the ear damage. Was that loud for... Wait, hold on. Was that loud for you guys? That wasn't loud for me. That means the audio isn't mixed correctly. I blame myself. But mostly I blame you.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Hey, Urban. 49 months. Thanks, man.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Chris gifted us up to Alex. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. All right, dudes. Let's see what we got. Average for the sound. Now, it was supposed to be, I presume, pretty funny to show up. The motor on screen is doing that. Okay, all right. I got you, man. I just want to make sure I'm not hurting anybody's ears. That's all. Because sometimes what I hear and sometimes what you guys hear is not exactly the same. It's close. So, yeah. Always appreciate the feedback. Probably no time to watch the Neutron update direct from Peter's mouth. Starts here. Yeah, we can do that.
And give everybody a bit of a...
I'll have to save the STS-93 stuff for another day. That's fine. That's okay. We can do that on Saturday. All right. This is what I did want to hear. So this is from the Investor and Neutron rocket update from yesterday. This is what we want to listen to. We did see it in slide form yesterday, but apparently there's more than just the PowerPoint. So let's take a look.
a Neutron update. And I guess the message here is like, this is happening. This is not a PowerPoint hope or anything. This is happening. We are building this thing. There's real hardware coming, and this is an exciting time. This is a turkey. The reason why this is a turkey is building a rocket is kind of like cooking a turkey. And I was trying to think of something to explain a very, very complicated thing, but actually it's quite simple. So when you start off with a turkey, you get this bird. It's not very attractive. It's kind of gross, and you got to stuff it and massage it and put a whole lot of effort into it, and it really doesn't look great. You burn a whole lot of work, but it's not until you actually pull it out of the oven and you put it on the table that everyone goes, oh wow, that's amazing. And you get that gratification of all of your effort. So where we are with Neutron right now is we're flat out stuffing that turkey as hard and fast as we can. You'll see a lot of the things we're talking about are super, super kind of infrastructure heavy, foundational things that enable you to do the things you need to do and actually develop the program.
What?
So it's coming to life. Now, one of the things with Electron is it's a composite vehicle, carbon composite vehicle. And this black kind of, thing that looks like a bit of a piece of staging, that's not staging, that's a piece of tank. So that's half of a first stage section of a tank to give you guys a sense of scale of the diameter of this thing. I mean, it's big. And that's made out of the carbon composite materials that we'll intend to fly with. So with a carbon composite vehicle, one of the best ways to kind of determine or understand progress is like, are you building molds or not? Because if you're building molds, that means that the design is mature enough that you're actually investing in the tooling. Because building a composite rocket's a little bit different to building a metallic rocket. Building a metallic rocket, you basically need no tooling. You can get started and you can start banging bits of metal together and iterating and following that path. Composite rocket, it's like you build the tools. Once you've got the tools, then you're banging them out. So for us to be at this point where we're building tools should give everybody a pretty high degree of confidence that where we are in the program. Lots of tools and lots of parts coming off tools, it's really the toughest bit is building is kind of getting through the design phase to the confidence level that you can build tools, go build tools, and start banging out parts. And that's where we are today on that. So the first Neutron tanks here you'll see come to life by the end of the year, which is it's super important, and it's actually a really quite big milestone. And I guess the other point here is like we're building it. There's real hardware coming off real machines, and I think one of the things that it's kind of like turkey stuffing is we had to order the machines a year ago or more. These kind of machines that we're building this on aren't your go to Lowe's and pick it up. These are bespoke machines, some of which there's only one or two of them in the world. Very, very large 3D printers, very, incredibly, as you see in that image there, a very unique 3D printer that 3D prints in machines at the same time. And Rocket Lab has its history in additive manufacturing. We were the first company to ever additively manufacture or 3D print a rocket engine and put it into orbit. We've put over 300 engines into space now. So we really know this technology well, and we're really starting to see parts. And like I say, a lot of turkey stuffing to get to this point because defining the machines, some machines don't even exist. These are machines that have never been built, and seeing all those machines coming online now is super exciting. And a little bit of a recap with the vehicle. This wasn't a vehicle that we all kind of sat around a boardroom table and designed by committee. This was a vehicle that was kind of just yelled at us by our customers. And so that its configurability, its payload performance, all of that has been market driven. So I want to expel a little bit of a theory here. So the vehicle is capable of lifting 15 tons to orbit expendable. And there are some expendable missions. There'll be some end-of-life missions that we will do that if a customer requires. It lists 13 tonnes reusable if we land downrange. It lifts 8 tonnes if we return it to the pad. Now, obviously, we love returning it to the pad because that will be the lowest cost. It's the least amount of infrastructure, but equally well, we can we have requirements to land it downrange. So call it a 15-tonne launch vehicle. I know that we probably weren't as clear as we could have been about when we call it an 8-tonne launch vehicle. It means it's 8 tonne returning to the pad, but it's kind of a 15-tonne Falcon 9 class vehicle. 42 metres high, the fairing diameter is 5 metres. The first stage is a bit over 7 metres in diameter, so a really, really big first stage. One thing that's changed is we've added a few more engines on the bottom, and we've changed the engine geometry a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Neutron's kind of famous or infamous for its hungry hippo fairing. So it's a slightly less hungry hippo now, so it's 2 fairing halves instead of 4. And we made that change to just reduce part count and complexity. But that's one of the small changes of the vehicle is now we have a true hungry hippo fairing rather than a 4-way hungry hippo fairing. So the kind of the first stage major design elements are complete, and Neutron is kind of a weird looking launch vehicle because it's designed to go up just as well as it's designed to go down. And if you've ever played badminton, I find it an intensely frustrating game. But if you've ever played it, like you hit that shuttlecock super hard and it goes fast for just like an annoyingly short period of time before it rapidly decelerates. And that's because it's got a low mass and a high ballistic coefficient. And the real challenge with a reusable launch vehicle is actually it's a thermal problem. It's a heating problem on re-entry. It's not a control problem, it's not a performance problem, it's a thermal problem. And the very best way to deal with a thermal problem is just to not have one. So the reason why the vehicle is carbon composite, super light, very, very large diameter at the base is because we have, just like a shuttlecock, we have a very low mass and a high ballistic coefficient. So it decelerates really quickly and doesn't produce a whole bunch of heat. There's a couple of subtle details. If you notice, the shape of it's a little bit lavary lamp kind of shaped. It's not for any shape for that any other reason other than basically we have a decreasing pressure profile across the vehicle, so we don't attach any shock waves, and it just keeps it cool. Let's just say it keeps all the thermal loads kind of under control. This is not a capsule announcement, so we're not announcing a capsule, just to be clear, but we get lots and lots of people asking us about human rating. So the vehicle is designed to be human rateable. You don't design a vehicle like this without that in mind. We don't have any particular programs focusing on capsules, but we're looking at it. Clearly, you're not going to make a vehicle without having that in mind. So just be clear, this is not a capsule announcement. But if we were going to do something, that was what it would look like, in theory. And then the second stage is obviously the second stage is a real pain because it has competing requirements. It needs to be the cheapest, but it also needs to be the highest performing. So generally those two things don't go together. But one of the beauties with our construction is that it's very fast to produce, very high performance, lightweight structures. So you get the performance and really low cost. The geometry and the way that we've kind of integrating this payload makes it super easy for customers to get in there and integrate and get out and really optimize that whole flow. I mean, we've done this 30 odd times on Electron. We know what it takes to integrate a payload. We know all the pain points. We know how we can streamline that to save the customer time and cost and ourselves time and cost as well. So we've really taken all of those lessons that we've learned and piled them into Neutron here. So I think composites often get a bad rap that's like, oh, they're expensive, they're slow to build, and like, no. If you think those things, you just don't know how to make composite structures. And composite structures have been made in an automated fashion in the aerospace industry forever. I mean, wow. right back to 737 tail fins. Like, the process we're using here is called automated tape laying. And literally, it's, I don't want to say the word 3D printing, but it's kind of like 3D printing a rocket, but it's not 3D printing. You're literally laying down meters of carbon fiber a minute. So the time to go and build one of these structures is just super, super short. And as a result, it's incredibly cost effective. So we're kind of taking this technology out of the aviation industry and applying it into the space industry here. So a lot of people in the space industry think this is new. You talk to someone in the aviation industry and it's like, oh yeah, we've done this for years, but we're just applying it to these kinds of structures. So what you end up with is super lightweight, super high performance structures that are really inexpensive. And you know, carbon composite on a strength to mass ratio is at least 4 times lighter than metallics or steels. So you use a quarter of the amount of the material for the same specific strength. So you don't actually, yep, the raw material is expensive, but the trick here is you don't actually use that much. So even though the raw material, you know, per kg is more expensive, there's just not that much in it. Okay, so probably one of the bigger updates is the Archimedes engine, and we'll start to see some pre-burner fire here by the end of the year. Sean DeMello is going to talk a little bit more about that. Now, I guess there's a model of it behind me here. You can see that it's a fairly significant engine. It really leverages all of our additive manufacturing technologies and experience over the year. For the kind of rocket geeks in the crowd, you'll look at the ISPs and go, it's only 330 seconds of ISP, or 367 VAC for a liquid oxygen methane engine. Those ISPs aren't they're just average. But we're trying to build like the most reliable, the most reusable engine possible. So really, we have such lightweight and high performance structures that we don't need to extract every second of ISP out of the engine. And why that's important is that these engines are not stressed. And if you're sitting in an aircraft and you look out on the wing and you look at that turbine engine, you don't want to look out at a turbine engine that's literally running within 1% of its capability of its life. Like, that doesn't make me feel good. You want to look out on a wing of a turbine, of an aircraft, and look at a turbine that's got heaps of margin and heaps of safety factor. Like, that thing can just run and run, it can suck a bird and just keep on running and running. That's what you want for a reusable rocket. And that's what we're building here with Archimedes. So we kind of go to pains to saying we're building the most boring rocket engine possible. But that's what's required to be successful for this vehicle. So one kind of big update, and for all, once again, the rocket geeks in the crowd, they'll look over at that and go, well, that's not a gas generator cycle, what's going on here? So we did change the cycle from being a gas generator cycle into an oxidizer-rich closed cycle. Now, the rationale behind that is that as we started working through all of the concept of operations and did all the power balances of the engine and really got down into the weeds, what we found is that that we started to get turbine temperatures that were looking too high. We started having to make a whole bunch of compromises because we need this vehicle to be able to deliver a mission to like Mars. That means you need really high performance in the upper stage, which means it's probably a very low mass. And you just butt up against these throttling curves all the time. And of course, when you're landing, you also need good throttling, except in the upper stage, you need good throttling and good ISP. So we just found that we were continually falling off the curve on the GG cycle. If you had one fixed engine throttle point, great. But we don't. We have a whole bunch of engine throttle points, and we found ourselves, we're pushed right up against a wall. And it really defeated the purpose of trying to build the most boring engine when our turbine temperatures were getting too high, the power balance was getting a bit ugly, and we just didn't have any margin. Now, oxidizer-rich closed cycles are typically the cycle you use when you want the most amount of performance. That is the go-to for like, I want every second of ISP. And the reason why I pointed out the ISP at the very beginning is because if you just dial back the ISP and say, no, we don't need 10,000 PSI chamber pressure, we only need 1,500, 2,000 PSI chamber pressure, we don't need this crazy ISP, then what you end up with is just a super brick engine. Like this thing, the turbine temperatures in this engine are super low, the power balance is just sitting right in the middle. So what that really means is we have a heap of scope to throttle up or throttle down or increase the performance if we ever need to. So it's kind of like it's It's the most boring oxidizer-rich closed-cycle engine with the lowest temperatures you ever see and the lowest chamber pressures. But that's exactly what you want for a reusable vehicle that just needs to go over and over and over again. So that's probably the biggest change here. And there's some pump parts over on the tables there. When we go over there for a drink, pick up the pump parts and have a look. There's actually a oxidizer volute from an electron there and one from neutron to give you a sense of scale and the difference. So by all means, have a look and poke around the engine there as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce Sean DeMello. So Sean is one of the longest serving Rocket Lab members. He's in charge of all launch for the company, Electron. He's also running the Neutron program, and he's going to teach you a little bit more about stuffing turkeys.
Thanks, Pete. All right, with that introduction, I'll keep it brief. My name is Sean DeMello. I'm the Vice President of Launch Systems here at Rocket Lab, and I'm leading the development for Neutron. So Pete mentioned the engine being a very critical part of the launch vehicle. It is fundamental as part of developing the engine that we can test it. And typically that's something that takes a lot of infrastructure, a lot of capital outlay. And with that, today I'm excited to announce that we've selected the A3 Test Complex as the home of testing the Archimedes engine, like the example you see behind me here. This site was originally built to test engines much larger than Archimedes. And as you can see, it comes in with a mammoth of infrastructure, critical infrastructure like cryogenic systems, tanks, test systems, instrumentation bays, buildings, and a whole lot more that can be quickly adapted to support our engine test operations. Beyond the concrete and steel as well, this whole test site is about 1 million square foot in area. And more than just tanks and the actual hardware, it takes a lot more to get a test site online and running. By being in the Stennis facility, we can leverage a lot of their site-wide infrastructure, so power systems, transport network, commodity and supply chains, all the little things that make a test site run and tick. So we're really looking forward to stepping this up here. And typically, what would take in the order of years to set up a test site, we can now jump in here very quickly, modify some systems, and get testing in the span of months. And a few of the details with this test site that we've announced today. We'll have exclusive use of the entire land, as well as all the test infrastructure you see in the image there in that video before. And we'll have this for 10 years with the additional, or the option to extend for another 10 in the life cycle of the program. I also want to probably shout out to the NASA Stennis Space Center, as well as the state of Mississippi, for not only welcoming us, but also putting forward a generous capital incentive and investment for us to be able to develop the site here very quickly. So all systems go for us at Stennis, and we're looking forward to breaking ground here very shortly and seeing some construction to modify this site, this historic site, to what will be a key part of history moving forward with testing the Archimedes out there. Looking out east as well, we continue to make great progress in Virginia, the Neutron factory. You might recall we broke ground at this site earlier this year, and it's been a hive of activity since. It was literally a greenfield when we started, but now it's been cleared, it's been graded. We're pouring our first concrete, and what you're seeing there is actually the site on which we'll be building our first stage 1 tanks. So that's something we're very much looking forward to kicking into later this quarter and into next year. The other thing I want to point out with Virginia and the uniqueness of this is the fact that this is more than just a factory to start, it's a development site. It's an area where we can build the rocket but also test it in very close succession. All our test systems and test infrastructure will be co-located to some of the production facilities, and that'll really just help accelerate the timeline we've got here in front of us in developing Neutron. 2.5 miles from the Neutron factory is what you see here is the vision for Launch Complex 3. What you're looking at here is the art of the possible. It's a launch pad that, being in such close proximity to the Neutron factory, enables us to avoid all the painful logistics of moving a rocket that's 7 meters. You get a sense of scale here with the half section across transport ways and so on. So having the site co-located with production and launch really enables us to unlock all the constraints that typical rocket programs otherwise face. There's a reason why you find most modern launch vehicles being about a maximum of 3 meters in diameter. It's because they've got to go under a tunnel or a bridge somewhere. across the coast. So this is a unique proposition that we have here with the launch pad and production facility of major functions being so closely located. But what you're looking at here is Launch Complex 3. And through our partners in Virginia Space and NASA Wallops Flight Facility, we have secured the land to locate this pad. So to give you a sense of scale and those familiar with the Wallops Island, this pad is located between Launch Complex 2, which is currently the home of Electron from the United States, and Pad 0B there. And we've been able to secure the land to be able to move into construction here very swiftly. One of the key things with Launch Complex 3 that's been on the forefront of our mind is to have this operation be as slick and seamless as possible. So we've had an eye in all architectural decisions we've made to minimize the amount of infrastructure we need on the pad. Ultimately, that just raises the operating cost for a big system like this year on year. So that's been at the forefront. So the pad essentially features a static launch mount where Neutron will be vertically stacked. Surrounding it are some propellant farms and fluid storage that feed the launch pad and the launch vehicle. In the vicinity is a landing pad where you can receive a return to launch site return booster. But also what's unique about this is we've laying in the provisions here for seawalls to extend out to sea and essentially be able to pick up a booster off an ocean platform that returns from a downrange landing. So it gives us that extra performance here, all within the same capability. And finally, the big structure you see within place just behind the launch pad there is what we call the rollover structure, the rollover gantry. It's intended to effectively slide over the launch pad, support stacking of Neutron, specifically in adverse conditions, provide that extra and enhanced launch vehicle and payload protection that's sometimes required for certain missions. But also, ultimately, that structure is intended for us to be able to operate all year round in adverse conditions, so to be free of any launch availability constraints. And that same structure then is envisioned to come out to sea and then pick up the booster that's returned from a downrange landing, pick it back up, take it back to the launch pad, and set it down again. And ultimately, what this overall architecture really presents us is with, again, a slick and streamlined operations where we're not handling the vehicle multiple times, we're not transporting it through various phases in various parts of the country to get it back to the pad. Right. And part of the development program, I think, has also seen us have some critical customers onboarded relatively early in the program, and that perhaps speaks volumes to the credibility of the program we have here. Late last year, we signed a contract with the United States Space Force for about $24 million to develop the upper stage for Neutron, and also lay the foundation for us to on-ramp Neutron onto the National Security Space Launch Program. That is quite an important program for us. It is one that essentially showcases and features all of the nation's most critical space missions. And it's an honor for us to be on-ramped and to be able to on-ramp this early and be part of a program that helps us get there. We're tracking pretty well for our period of performance so far. We've had our key milestones delivered, and we're looking well to complete this entire contract award by the end of next year. In addition to the Space Force contract, we've also signed a cooperative research and development agreement with the United States Transportation Command. And this is to really explore using Stage 1 as a point-to-point delivery mechanism. You've heard from Pete before, Stage 1 has a whole bunch of energy packed into it. It's capable of lifting a sizable Stage 2 and then precisely land onto a target. Kind of all the key ingredients you need to deliver point-to-point cargo. And we're really excited to see Neutron being showcased in this capacity as well. And yeah, finally, before I wrap, there's a lot we've updated you on today, but I do want to convey as well that the team and I are focused on getting a vehicle to the pad in 2024. But I do want to emphasize that we're not starting from scratch. We've got a compressed schedule in front of us, but what makes this happen is that we have a strong team that's coming off the Electron program, a wealth of technology that scales really well from a small rocket like Electron onto Neutron. To put this in perspective, a flight computer sitting inside Electron is about the same size as it would be in Neutron. So just like that, a lot of technologies in avionics, GNC, software, telemetry, command and control, production processes that take a lot of pain to set up initially, all just translate across to Neutron. We don't have to do these things from scratch. We simply leverage the team we have, the technology we have, and pour it over to the bigger rocket. And what you've seen today too is we've secured the large amounts of capital we need and the infrastructure we need to get our test sites and launch sites underway. That really lays the foundation for us to go forth and execute on the rest of the program. Looking at the next 12 months, we've got a number of critical milestones that we want to share. Kicking off later this quarter into next is our engine pre-burner testing. We'll also see our first building up at our Neutron factory and production complex. Construction will start at Launch Complex 3, the architecture that we talked through here. We'll see full-scale Stage 1 and Stage 2 tanks coming off the molds that we saw at the start of this presentation, as well as the test sites to support their qualification and testing. Stennis will be ready, and we'll also have an all-up engine hot fire here before the year closes in 23. Other key milestones include our avionics hardware and software coming to life, as well as it being deployed across various elements on the launch vehicle and propulsion systems, and our hardware in the loop facility being brought up online as well in the ramp-up through the next year. And with that, we look forward to keeping you informed on progress. We'll be sure to share how we're going with Neutron, and I'll hand you over now to Adam Spice, our CFO, to give you a financial update.
Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Cool. Yeah, that Neutron rocket. We looked at the slideshow yesterday, guys, but we didn't really look at the whole thing. Like, or not the whole thing. We couldn't. That wasn't the right way to say that at all. We looked at the presentation, the investor PDF that they sent out yesterday, but they did not stream the presentation. They had trouble streaming from Intrepid. I might know a guy that can help fix that. The presentation was yesterday, and we did cover the PDF while the presentation was on. But, yeah. Is there a Q&A section? Yeah. You guys want to see the Q&A part? We can do that.
We'll open up to Q&A. Morgan?
Yeah, they're underneath a space shuttle, by the way.
Thank you so much, Adam and everybody else. So that concludes the formal part of our presentations for today. Now, I know we've kept you seated for a very long time, so we won't spend much more time on Q&A, but do want to give you the opportunity to ask some questions. If you'd like to ask them in this format, please go ahead, just raise your hand, give your name and where you're from, and we'll bring a mic to you. If you don't want to ask questions in that format, after the conclusion of this Q&A, we will move behind the screen here, and those who can join us for some refreshments, please do. We'd love to spend some time with you, and feel free to ask the team some questions one-on-one. So with that, I'll ask my speakers to come up to the stage here. Bring your chairs with you, please, and we will begin the process of selecting some first questions. So please raise your hands if you would like to ask anything. All right, here in the front there, Mike.
Actually, before this, I do want to see RKLB. The entire U.S. market is down? Oh. Hmm. Due to the rate hike? Wait, the Feds changed the... Uh-oh. What'd they change the rates to, Chris? They went up 0.75, 8.3. Well, that's the inflation rate, Rocket Guy, isn't it? No, it's not incoming pain. We're on a fixed rate. We got him. Actually, we got the rates. We had our rate locked in for the house in June. So yeah, it was after they hiked it once. And now they hiked it again. I'm glad I bought when I did. It's 2.25 in the UK. Oh, Josh, that sucks. Yeah, that was the whole thing. That was the whole thing. Everybody was gonna say, "Oh no, wait until the rates go down." I'm like, I'll just refinance later. Thank you. Mortgages are now over 6%. 4.6 projected for April 2023. Ugh. Also worth noting, the Fed is trying to make the number of jobs available decrease. So they're trying to squeeze companies to make them feel like they have less cash. Yeah, I know what the Fed does. Yeah, alleviate. Yeah, it's... Yeah, I know. Economics are not something I'm the best with, dude, but I know enough, like... Yeah, the interest rates are curb inflation, but Rocket, you know what the best hedge against inflation is? Debt. Yeah, I just went into a lot of debt by buying this house, so it's not gonna hurt me as much, I guess. Yeah, it's that's not good. I mean, just on a side note, I don't really want recession, right? But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. My economic knowledge, lick the cookie. Yep. So yeah, they really yeah, that really was not ideal, was it? Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Astra stock. Oh. Oh. They also warned there could be a period of 4 quarters of negative GDP, thus a depression and not a recession. Got bombed by Rocket Lab investors yesterday, dude. That's not good. Actually, you know what? Let me just take a look. Let me just look around here real quick. Okay. Primo and I bought Boeing stonks right there. To be honest with you, like full disclosure, we bought Boeing stock right there, like right in late March. And yeah, cashed them out. Cashed them out like right there. Made a little bit of cash. Yeah, Yeah, no, if the stock market's taking a dump, dude, keep an eye. This is not investment advice because you're not guaranteed money. Giving financial advice seems to be a pretty bad idea this day and age. But in this day and age on here, but yeah, buy low, sell high, right? Like buy low, sell low. UK inflation rate is realistically around 14%. Yeah. I do more buy high, sell low, sad. Yeah. Yeah. What's the big rise? 737 max, dude. That and the economy was really bullish from like basically like 2012, 2013 all the way to the pandemic. The economy was insane. Like it was one of the longest bull runs in history. Like just bull run is just rapid growth. So there was a huge bull run in the 90s because of the dot-com boom and stuff, and then the dot-com bubble popped that. Yeah, like, dude, it's like from what I can tell here, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. The economy expands and contracts. It's just like micromanaging the budget in cities. There are going to be times where you see increased funding. There's going to be times where you see growth, not as much growth. Some a little bit going in the other direction. You ideally want to mitigate going in the other direction, but it does happen. But it rebounds. It goes right back. You know, like it'll just, you know. The seasons change. Yeah, economic winter. There you go. This does happen, and it kind of sucks when it does. What really is annoying is that like, you know, all this is because of COVID, right? Like, you know, like that's a pandemic. There's like nothing we can do. There's nothing we could have done about it. You know what I'm saying? It's a real pain in the butt. Not to get too policies, but the UK is doing this kind of taxes potentially make rich people richer. Yeah. This was coming before COVID, but COVID didn't help. Politicians have a habit of running into the ground and ignoring economists. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know enough about it, dude. COVID accelerated the hyperinflationary state. Yeah. Smells like nerd in here. What's up, Yuri? A friend of mine bought Astor stock in February 2021. Well, that's a L. Yeah, it expands and contracts, dude. It's like you ideally don't want it to contract, but it's always going to contract a little bit, dude. Right? Like, our economy is designed to generate revenue at the cost of. Economy is designed to generate revenue. Oh, nice, Alex. There you go. Yeah, Tyler, I'm not sure if I'm like 100% on board with that, but not because I disagree, but because I really don't know enough about it, you know? Like, I wish I knew more about like the straight economics. You guys would have to talk to Greg about that. Econ Greg. He would know that way better than I would. Like, I'm like, I have the stones to be able to say like this is out of my wheelhouse, dude. I don't know this too well. Like, I know how to balance a checkbook. I mean, I don't know who does that in this day and age, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty smart with my cash, but yeah, I don't know enough really about this to comment on it, like, either way. Like, I know cities. Like, does that help? Like, question: do things like inflation, markets being down affect federal budgets for the likes of NASA? Yeah, Alleviate. There will be a repercussion. Yeah, NASA tends to do well when the economy is doing better. Yes. Yeah. Alleviate it. I guess I can say this now, and I'm not trying to like devalue human life or anything, but I was so worried for NASA in like 2020. I was so worried. I was so worried. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh boy. The last time there was a gigantic recession and a presidential change and the pandemic, and well, not really a pandemic, like the recession was caused by the pandemic, right? The last time there was that, and president change, programs got canceled, like straight up. Like that's when they tried to axe Constellation. I firmly believe part of it was because they didn't want to spend the money because they were unsure about the future, right? And we're still paying for that mistake, right? But I saw it again and it scared the crap out of me. I'm like, uh-oh. Uh-oh, the same signs are there they were in 2008. Not good, not good, not good. Yeah, Jim, Jim did a good job. And Bill's doing a good job too. Jim's a better orator than Bill is, but Bill is doing just fine. Yeah. Are we in inflation right now? Inflation is being... JSDN, inflation is happening right now, and it's kind of... It hasn't moved in the past couple of months, but we had basically 2 years of insane inflation. So, JSDN, what does that mean? What does inflation mean? So, inflation happened... Inflation... There's like a certain amount of money in the U.S. economy, right? So if you print more money, the value per dollar goes down. That's what happens when you have inflation. You put more money into the economy, and I'm talking about like literally printing money, printing physical money, like not like, oh, I'm gonna spend money on this. No. If you print more, the value, you can't print more money and just expect the value to stay the same, right? We don't use this standard anymore, but an easy way to understand this part is like if I have $1 and the US dollar used to be like this, it's not like this anymore. If the dollar is, say, like I have like a 5-ounce block of gold, like a gold cube, right? $1 is worth 1 gold cube. If I make another dollar and I have $2 now, well, the value the value is not the same. $2 for 1 gold cube, right? Now these are worth 50 cents instead, despite them being dollars. That's what inflation is. So during the pandemic, nobody was working, so everybody needed money, right? Everybody needed money to keep living, right? So what they ended up doing is they ended up sending out stimulus checks to everybody, right? The previous president did it. This president did it again and again and again. And they ended up printing insane amounts of money. More money was printed in the last 3 years in the United States than in the prior 30 or 40 years or something. It's not good. Not good. So that devalued everybody's money. And then the inflation rate's going to go through the roof. You're devaluing the dollar doing that. So, yeah, to say we're in inflation is not the right way to say that. Inflation is happening because of the pandemic. And now we're dealing with supply chain issues. So because everybody stopped, there was a moment where nobody was doing anything. Now we have to build up. Like I said, there's ebb and flows to the economy. I don't understand why those ebb and flows happen, but I know that they do happen. It's elastic. It goes up and then it goes down and it goes up and then it goes down. It's kind of like a pendulum swinging back and forth. What we try to, what we want ideally is the pendulum the swing to not be too hard in one direction or the other. It's like in cities. You don't want too much growth too fast. Too much growth too fast is going to create a rubber band effect, and that will make a recession. This is in the game now. This is what I know in the game. This might happen. I think this happens in real life, but once again, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. You got to kind of make sure that it doesn't swing too far back and forth. You just want it to kind of, I mean, I'll be honest with you, fellas. I money printer go. Brrr. Yeah, those are funny memes. I'll be honest with you, fellas. I right when we got those stimulus checks, I'm not gonna lie, I spent it on stuff because I knew the value was gonna go down. You don't just print like an extra couple $1 billion and know it's gonna stay the same. So when as soon as I got those checks, I spent it on whatever. I spent it right away. Like I bought a laptop. The laptop that I streamed James Webb from, I bought that with the stimulus money because the laptop is worth more. It was, you're not going to be able to buy a laptop for that price in the future. You know what I mean? I mean, guys, like once again, I guess the overarching thing that I'm trying to get at is even if it goes down a little ways, it's not that big of a deal. Ah, dang it, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Going, yep. You paid some student loans off? Yeah, me too, man. What are you gonna do? What is that? Yeah, all right. We'll switch it back over to planes here. Let's see. Uh, oh. Eh. I swear to God, I didn't do it. Actually, you guys, I mean, I'm not going to say that the plane looks okay. It obviously made it back. The pilots definitely noticed that, whatever it was. But one thing that I kind of thought was cool, right? The sparks come from right there, right? Now, the back of the plane right here, there's a little bit of low pressure happening right here on the back of the plane because of how the tail is shaped, right? And then you got the wings up there, you get high pressure up there, and it forces the air down because they're elevators that they elevate the plane, right? That controls the pitch, right? But you underneath the fuselage of the airplane in that particular area, you're gonna get a lot of dirty air. Watch the sparks. You see how they go up? They get pulled upwards. Yeah, because of the low pressure behind the fuselage. And see how they kind of just stop? It's because the elevators are pushing them back down. They want to keep going up, but the elevators push it down, so they end up going straight. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Like, I would only show you guys this as long as I knew the plane was okay, but it's actually pretty cool. See, the sparks get sucked up. See that? And then they want to keep going up, and then the air coming off the horizontal stabilizers in the elevators keep it straight. Isn't that cool? I thought it was pretty neat. Look, you could watch. See, look right there. See, they go up and then they go straight. See, isn't that cool? See, you can see the line. You can trace the line. Isn't that cool? I mean, as long as the plane's okay, not the plane, as long as the people on board okay, I don't really care about the plane, but
Discovery, go at throttle up.
yeah, maybe Aqualux, yeah. Yeah, isn't that neat? I think that's pretty cool. You see the sparks go up and then they straighten out because they're being accelerated by the air coming off the back of the elevator. Whoop! I'm sorry. I think that's really cool. As long as the people on the plane are okay, like that's really neat. It's visualized aerodynamics. She shed parts all over the building under it, though. Everyone is safe. Good. Yeah. Wait, what was that? Something went weird with that plane. Hey, T-Money, 21 months. Hey, yo! What's the wheel rim alloys on this thing? Did they close the gear bay over a metal fire? Don't know, Aqualux. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Could be... I don't know. That doesn't really look like it's coming out of the landing gear bays. The landing gear bays are over here, but there also is that going on right there. There's a kind of... Oh, that's the landing gear bay closing. Yeah, see how the sparks change direction coming off the back of the plane? Not as scary as this. I blame aliens? Sure. Oh. Yeah, I don't like that. What's that, Forge? Yeah, as long as the plane came back and everything is good. UA 149 spent 88 minutes in the air and nobody was hurt. November 787 UA Uniform Alpha experienced another incident on September 9th where it rejected takeoff runway 36 left at Amsterdam after a smoke warning. Um... Dish, I think you're okay. That sounds like the A and P's aren't. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds a lot like the A and P's, well, aren't. Related. Okay, guys. Yep. Yeah, all right. No. All right. Enough with whispering me links. Whisper is not used for you to get my attention if you're in chat. Please ask to post a link in chat. You don't deserve special attention over anybody else, okay? There's like 4 or 5 people doing it now. Stop doing it or I'm going to shut whispers off. I can't do it. I can't keep up with chat and whispers at the same time. If anybody whispers me from now on, I'm just ignoring it. Yeah, GRs maybe. Don't do that to bypass the links or anything like that. Just get perms like everybody else. It's easy. All right. Anyway, let's get back into space news. So we saw the investor meeting. Let's watch the Q&A. I'll keep the Q&A up here.
Let you get settled in. Well, thanks everybody for the wonderful presentations today. Suji
We'll
De
know
Silva,
tomorrow,
Roth
Motorkid, at
Capital.
12:30.
You talked about going from 1 to 2 launches, 1 to 2 rockets, and then 24 launches per year. That seems like from your side you can get there. I'm curious from the customer side. There's a lot of kind of inward and outward movement of customer launches, push out, so forth. How mature is the customer process coming to you, where you think you can get there? It's evolved obviously from the beginning when it was, one prototype rock satellite at a time. So I'm curious how that's evolving.
Yeah, I would say that I can't think of a time where a customer has waited for a rocket. Generally, we've always got the rocket ready, and the biggest challenge that we have is we call it manifest whack-a-mole. where one customer is we think is ready, but they delay, and then you can't get back that month or that launch window. So we're always continually trying to sift through it. What we have seen is that the quality of the customer really increased to where most of the deals we do now are bulk buys, which we really like. They're not ones and twosies. A customer will go and fly on a ride share, do a tech demo, and then to actually put their constellation in an orbit that can be commercial,
Dude, Space Herp, I
they'll
never
come to a
noticed. He
dedicated
does look like Phil
platform
Mickelson.
where we can place their assets in the exact
That's
orbit
weird.
that we like to see. So
Don't say that again.
so
That's
I
weird.
would say
Don't
that,
do that.
the market needs to continue to grow. I mean, small launch, the space industry is a relatively nascent industry, but the thing that drives our launch cadence right now the most is actually customers turning up on time rather than anything else. And we're getting better at that. I mean, if you're providing a
Better or
dedicated
better?
service, you don't want to ever be in a position where you turn around to your customer and say, "Oh, sorry, we're launching this person now," or "We screwed that up."
They will, Golem.
So we're getting more aggressive, and
Yes.
we know which kinds of customers often delay and which ones are always on time.
Oh, guys,
and we
give
in
me
some
1 second.
cases
I'll
we'll
be right
have
back.
2 customers
Be right back.
at the launch site integrating at the same time. We've got multiple clean rooms there to enable that. And if this customer turns up early, but we've actually moved them, leapfrogged in some occasions this year. But that probably continues to be our biggest challenge is just like that manifest whack-a-mole.
Great, thanks. And maybe a separate question on Globalstar and MDA real quick. You had a bunch of bullets up there, which are very impressive reasons you won that contract. But at the bottom, as you went past quickly, it said something about a platform for additional communication services. I'm curious what you might have meant by that language. Was that just thrown in there, or was that really that this could be the beginning of multiple customer engagements like that?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I should, you guys talk about it, but I mean, obviously we're building a very unique capability there. So this is a platform that lives in a horrible environment. It's got a 12-year lifespan, really, really operational. So that can be used for a bunch of things. So maybe you guys want to...
Yeah, I mean, I can illuminate a little bit. From an engineering perspective, these platforms, the physics really drives kind of what needs to happen. So for a persistent communications platform, you need that longer lifespan, right, in the environment. You need a lot of power to drive consistent and constant communications. You also will need block redundancy in order for you to, in case there's an error on some of the systems, be able to switch over to a redundant system to not have any gaps in the operational traffic that's required for those businesses. So from an engineering perspective, that's really driving what we mean by platform that can be used for future communications applications. In addition, there are also the makeup of the spacecraft also allows us to scale it such that either with a number of spacecraft, different types of frequencies, different types of antennas, and be able to kind of play with that in order to maybe not the same type of communications applications, but something slightly different.
And I'd just add on the demand side, I mean, we see a lot of, when we announced that, we had a lot of customers come to us and say, what can you do for us? And that's both on the national security, civil space, and commercial front. So yeah, a lot of demand for this capability in its class, and so really excited to see what we can do with it.
Yeah, and it's not to say that someday we're not going to own quite a few of these type of spacecraft in orbit and offer satellite as a service. I mean, that's ultimately the dream for us, right? Where we want to move from kind of event-driven, revenue to like launches and shipping a satellite to somebody else. We think we're a very natural owner of space assets, right? So you can either go after and try to find out what the next great gold mine is, or you can find people that already have a gold mine and help them mine it more efficiently, right? And so with better infrastructure. And so we're kind of more leaning towards like that at this point because we can do that today, right? And these kind of projects allow us to have more confidence in the fact that we could build the best infrastructure out there. We could support it. Having that launch and having the design and all the key supply chain components. I mean, it allows us to do everything. And that's really some people look at a deal like this Globalstar contract and say, well, is this kind of really what your model is just to build spacecraft for other people. It's like, well, that's part of the business. It is, but the longer term vision is much broader than that.
Thanks for taking the questions, and nice job on the presentation, and there's certainly a lot of progress you guys have made since the DSPAC. It's Eric Rasmussen, Stifel. Just on the Neutron update, you've obviously have a number of key milestones that you put on that one slide. And it's a pretty aggressive time frame to get there, and it looked like you were still maintaining the target of, I believe it was two launches, one test, and then obviously one would be a paying customer in 2024. But of the things that you put on there, the key milestones, the Archimedes, it was a design change. LC3 is a big undertaking in terms of the infrastructure build out.
Down in front.
Where would you see sort of, if you were to say the top 2 or 3, where you really sort of feel like most of the effort's going to go into to meet that time frame?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start, Sean, you can jump in. But I mean, the majority of the effort is actually in like stuffing the turkey. Like those key pieces of infrastructure are the bits that take the most amount of time, and they're the least visible, and the most amount of, you put tremendous amount of work and you really can't see much for it. Obviously, when you roll tanks out, it's super obvious. Engine's always a long pole in the tent, but the Stennis announcement we made today really shortcuts a huge amount of time for us. Like if you had to go and build all of that engine test infrastructure, that's a big deal. And those deals don't come together in a week. That's something we've been working for a very long time. Just like the launch site. I mean, that doesn't happen in a week. Like we've been working with Virginia for more than a year to secure that land and those facilities. Where Sean showed where we're building the factory was like a year ago. It was a giant chicken farm, and there was just chicken wings coming out of there flat out. Now it's a rocket factory.
Not turkeys though.
So those kind of long poles. The bit that gets me up at night is not so much are we going to have avionics finished in time. It's just like the general supply chain is just tough. Like buying CNC machines and concrete and stuff like that. You should talk to that. And
Yeah. I think the state of supply chain is definitely interesting now, and we're hedging our bets. We're pushing all parts in parallel. And I think one thing I'll tack on to what Pete was saying before too is it's not a game of developing a launch vehicle with a lot of serial things. So we don't wait for the engine to be done then to start something else. We're pushing all parts in parallel, and it's largely because we have the teams already stood up. So we're not looking to build teams from scratch in many areas. We're certainly hiring a lot and growing our talent base in each one of these areas, but it's definitely not a serial development too. So where we can, we're pushing Launch Complex 3 as fast as we can, the engine test out as fast as we can, so that the engine gets bought online.
Hang on one second. I don't mean to interrupt Sean. And here, I'll link this up for the rest of the folks in chat. I'll link up this VOD. We were at about 2 hours in there on the VOD for anybody else. Dudes, you think they'll make 2024? I'll be honest with you. The time, their whole presentation was saying like, oh yeah, we've already started this. We've already started this. We've already started this. We've already started this. Right? And they are pushing parallel production, which is fine. But at the end of the day, if you don't have if your rocket engine doesn't work, you're not going anywhere. You made a water tower instead of a rocket, right? So everything scales around what's called a long lead item with rockets. Your engines are the longest lead item. Engines are by far and away the hardest thing to make. They don't have a working prototype for the Archimedes engine, but they have the test stand. Oof. Yeah, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. I mean, even a year for propulsion, it's gonna be tough, man. Mender, Beck's Big Beast at Rocket Lab, they do what they say. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're not wrong. Water towers can fly. Woo! Yeah, right. Yeah. I say that, but that exists right there. Jewsbot, you're taking a Lean Six Sigma class this week, taught by someone who worked on the shuttle program. And the first thing I hear when I tune in is lead times. Yep. Yep. I don't know what Lean Sigma 6 means. It's a method that relies on collaborative team effort to improve performance by systematically removing waste and reducing variation. Oh. Sigma 6 is a set of techniques and tools for process improvement. It was introduced by American engineer Bill Smith working at Motorola in 1986. This sounds like something that would have came from the 80s. Oh, for the love of God. Okay. All right. Fellas who say that, do people like constantly go around, like, let me guess. There are project managers that go around and when they have meetings, like team meetings to develop the team, they just literally tell you about this. We have to make sure we're sticking to the Six Sigma principles. The Six Sigma principles. Let me put it in a PowerPoint so I can show you. Right? Yeah? Yep. All right. Yep. I have a word for those people. Brainless. Now, you know, you could say I'm being a dick. That's fine, but every company is different. I know I don't that big of a corporate guy, but I know the intricacies of every single company is different. There's never one there's never one hole like that you could fit a formula. Bad analogy, changing the analogy. There's never one thing that's going to work for every single freaking company. There are general principles, right? But you can't, oh, well, it worked for Motorola, it's going to work for us. Nope. The conjoined triangles of success. Exactly, doctors. That's exactly it. It's the conjoined triangle. Yeah, I got it. Wait, let's see. Methodologies. Let me guess. These are a bunch of things that are a bunch of common sense, right? Like, wait a minute. You're telling me at an engineering company you want me to measure and analyze things? Oh, you want me to improve on that? Bro, you're asking too much. You're being a dick for using a stereotypical voice to portray a brainless manager. What? Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I think. All right. So, we have to build team dynamics for the sake of team because the team will prove team efficient. Yeah, dude, exactly. Yep. Yeah, exactly, dude. Every principle needs to be tailored to business. I don't know, man. It's just freaking, dude. People don't like it. Every application is totally different. There's never going to be one formula that solves everything. Kind of ridiculous, dude, when you think about it. I'm still learning more about them. The heck? Tell that to the ISO standards I have to memorize. Audrey, yeah, definitely, yeah. Bro. Wow. Wow, that's all I'm saying, man. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. You could call me a weaker person. That's fine. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do that. I can't do it. I can't do it. That would drive me up the wall every freaking day. It would drive me up the wall. I would want to just blow my brains out. There, I said it. I don't think you saw this, but here you go. What's up? I've seen the umbilical before. It's a great picture. Speaking of the flying water tower over your head, what's the current progress? They're aiming for a flight in November, but it really depends on how long it takes to upgrade Booster 7. You count your lucky stars for not being in a big company. That stuff wears you down. Dude, I don't know, man. The only way, you know what's like, this is gonna sound like such a dick thing to say, but I'm already way into the sounding like a dick field anyway, so whatever. The only way I would want to be in a corporate environment is if I'm running it. That's the only way. I would suck at literally doing anything else. And you know what? I probably wouldn't even run it. I probably wouldn't even run it well. Because what do I know about that? You know what I'm saying? What do I know about running a company? This also happened while you were gone. What's up? Oh, sweet. That's cool. In theory, it makes sense, but in reality, large multinational corporations are abhorrently terrible at wasting time, finances, and resources. Yeah. It's the luck of the draw, though. My current company is amazing, and there aren't stupid meetings like that. Yeah. Yeah, Python, it seems like... Dudes, all right. I'm not even going to lie to you. Sometimes somebody asks me a question, and I don't know the answer. But sometimes talking through it does help. Talking through the whole thing does help. Like, you know, it's like I'll take a stab at answering that question. I might be right, I might not be right. I usually tell you guys, like, I'll be like, 100% sure. Maybe this works this way. I don't know. Like, especially when it comes to like, hey, EJ, what does that pipe on that rocket do? Well, I don't know. Let's go take a look. Let's figure out what it is, right? We'll figure it out together. That's how I try to do things. Sometimes, dudes, like, you know, I'll answer a question and I'll talk myself through something, and it'll be something that I didn't really understand before, but I understand it now. You know what I mean? Like, there's some concepts that when I read them, like if I go to read a rocket propulsion textbook and I'm like, I don't understand what the hell this is. And then somebody asks me about it and I'm like, well, I think given the information presented and talking it out, it helps, right? It helps. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, you know, I know every single freaking thing about rockets right here, like right here, right now. The point that I'm trying to get at and why I'm using me as an example is because, like, I think the kind of folks that go around saying this kind of stuff, the kind of people that go around saying this kind of stuff are doing that for the same reasons. You know what I mean? They're going around telling people about, you know, define, improve, blah, 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 refine, measure, analysis, because they don't understand the concept. Sometimes I do that. I'm not going to lie to you. But I do it to talk it through and figure it out. But it feels, I'm not going to say projection, but sometimes I think people are just saying it to say it and they don't really understand what any of that means. I see that a lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's the rubber duck, Aqualex. Exactly. I rubber duck with you guys all the time. Oh yeah, it happens all the time. That's part of the reason why I know this stuff so well, because I talk about it constantly. We talk our way through the problems. People like seeing that process. Different but the same principle. It's rubber ducky debugging. Dude, Sometimes if I don't have chat, like if I'm out in the world doing normie things, I'll just straight up talk to myself. Like if I'm driving somewhere and I got to figure out how to do something, I will talk like chat is there. You can call me an insane person. That's fine. You're probably right. But dude, that works. That works. It will click in your head and it won't go away. Like I'll be driving in the car and I'll be like, I do this a lot if we have like a challenge to overcome in the stream. Like getting the SSTO working. I cannot tell you how many times I got in my car after a stream last year when I couldn't figure out what to do with the SSTO and literally just drove around. And I'm talking myself out. I talk myself through it. I'm like, how am I going to get that thing to launch? What's the best way to make the pad work? You know, if I put a Kraken hinge here and then, you know, we have the load bearing points here, and here, that might work. Dude, I've light bulb moments so many times. You guys see it on stream all the time. You know? You talk with people in the chat. No. You hit the nail on the head. Middle managers have no clue. Trying to look like they know what they're doing to upper management while making decisions the actual workforce have to work around to get the job done. Yeah, that's what I thought, Aqualex. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have that much corporate experience, but from what I've been able to ascertain from like working at Best Buy or at Staples or whatever, yeah, that very much seems like that's what's going on. You're telling us to understand this when you literally have no idea what you're saying. And once again, I'm not 100% not guilty there either. As a mid-level manager, I resent that. Okay. Yeah, Audrey, I mean, it happens. It happens. Oh, no, you're one of those. Great solo, terrible in the cubic farm. Orion, if I'm around people, I don't talk to myself. That really doesn't read very well. I resemble that remark. Having a sounding board at times can be very helpful in working through a problem. Sometimes hearing something aloud can make all the difference. Dude, yeah, no. There have been times, yeah, I can speak to that. There have been times, like 5 minutes ago, where saying something, you know, sounded like a really good idea and really funny, and then it really wasn't, right? Like, see what I mean? It sounds better in your head than when you go and do it. You're like, nah, that wasn't a good idea. I'm man enough to admit that. That was not smart. You know? Oh man. Juice, I don't envy you, man. I don't envy you. Anyway, let's jump back over to space. You guys want to see something cool? Here, check this out. So, Cosmic Perspective, who does high-speed photography of rockets, of rocket launches and stuff, got this stuff yesterday. You guys are gonna want to see this. This is the Booster 7 static fire yesterday. I'm sorry, just looking at it. I was talking about this when it was posted in chat a little bit earlier. Look at how clear that flame is coming out the bottom. So, guys, I don't think people realize how hard it is to get a clear flame with a methane rocket. That's really, really impressive. I mean, Raptor's doing that because full flow stage combustion and extremely high chamber pressure. There's so much boom boom coming out of this thing that it burns off all the fuel. That and they're atomizing their liquid fuel and their oxidizer. And that's a real big important thing. You get a much more efficient burn and a much more reactive explosion. That's and the result what comes out the bottom is not much of anything. Just a bunch of gases get accelerated out the bottom, but the combusted product of a methalox engine with full flow stage combustion is probably a lot of water vapor, similar to the shuttle engine. There is some carbon in there, so you're gonna get carbon out of it, and you're gonna get probably, I don't know, man. Dude, I don't even know if there's much hydrogen coming out of this thing. But those flames are super clear. You can see right through them. That's a mark of a very efficient burn. Check when the exhaust plume nudges over the other engines at the start sequence. Is it? Yeah, right? Look, see it curve? Look at that flow phenomenon happening from the engine behind the post starting. Oh, yeah. Anyway, there's a whole video on it, guys. I'll link this tweet up. Dude, you guys go watch the whole video. I don't want to watch the whole video on stream because I don't know Cosmic Perspective too well. Please go over there. Go over there on their YouTube channel. Check them out. There's a whole freaking huge video full of all that footage. Trust me, it's good stuff. I looked at it a little bit earlier, and I'm like, yep, I like that. So, after that static fire, Booster 7 was rolled back to the production site, and SpaceX themselves actually posted this really nice drone footage here. Take a look. That'll be like 99% water and CO2. CO2 and H2O. Also, did you catch the first engine start shockwave? Yeah. You see that? Yeah, it propagates out. It's so cool. Zuna's given this gift, continuing the gift sub they got from Midge. Thank you very much. It looks so weird from up here. Yeah, don't mind me just driving my water tower away. Needs Benny Hill. Yeah. You know what I didn't realize? Booster 4 is still just sitting out there. Is that 4 or 5, chat? I don't even know. 24 is over there. Is that 8? That's 8. Yeah, I was gonna say that's where Booster 4 was, right? And then they moved Booster 4 that way to the production site. Have they put 8 on the OLM yet? Have you seen the deluge test? I have it teed up, Core, but I haven't watched it. Okay, they haven't teed it up yet. Got it. That just looks so strange. It looks like a bunch of toys. Don't get me wrong, toys are awesome, dude. But yeah, that's honestly, so much has happened with SpaceX in the past few days. Might as well just scroll through all of Zach's tweets. Yeah, they're really going ham on it, huh? Yeah, JFed, yeah, they're big boy toys. Yeah, you're not kidding. You're not kidding. So here's what Elon said regarding this whole thing. He replied to Jack, which is actually really cool. Our focus is on reliability upgrades for flights for flight on Booster 7 and completing Booster 9, which has many design changes, especially for full engine RUD isolation. I did start talking about this while we were playing Cities. So what is full engine RUD isolation? I know I'm going to get asked a lot of questions about that. Well, engine RUD isolation is basically, well, putting something between each engine so they don't, when one blows up, if that does happen, you don't have to worry about it too much. Now, here, hold on. Falcon 9 OctoWeb. Falcon 9's thrust structure, all right, is called an OctoWeb. That's the kind of name for it, I guess. I think that's the SpaceX name, and, you know, then it just kind of trickled in as public nomenclature, I guess. So what's the OctoWeb? The OctoWeb is the spot for the 9 engines. It's the reason why it's called an OctoWeb is because it's a web with 8 spikes on it. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it has 8. I'm an idiot. All right, so yeah. So you see how each one of these has like a trapezoidal cover right there? That's where the Merlin bolts in. Merlin engines are actually on the whole engine is mounted on a flat plate, and that flat plate fits right there. Except for the center one. I think the center one might be on a different one, but it is a firewall. Yeah, it's a bulkhead. That's what the OctoWeb does. It's a bulkhead. Actually, that picture is probably better to show exactly what I'm talking about. It's a bulkhead that basically, if an engine pops, you don't have to worry about it damaging the other engines. This has saved SpaceX a couple of times. Yeah. The OctoWeb is the mounting frame for the engines to gimbal on and apply the thrust evenly on the bottom of the fuel tank. Yeah, JFED, yeah, a thrust structure. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So you see it has these bulkheads here, so when the engine, if an engine pops or if there's a problem, it'll stay isolated here. That's what RUD isolation is. Now, how the heck they're going to do that with how the heck they're going to do that with 33 engines, I'm not 100% on that one. Even thinking about it there for a second, my brain kind of paused, and I'm like, Booster 7 and 8 will have shielding around each engine, was seen in the McGregor footage. Oh, all right, let's check out that video. Let's see what we got. Did we see this the other day? Yeah. Yeah. Green, Mr. Fuel Mix, man. So they tested that right there? So the engine, the RUD isolation seems to be localized to each engine. And it's not a structural thing like it is on Falcon 9. Is that what I'm getting from this? Yeah, look at that. Intentional explosion? I think that last one was, yeah. Oh, that hurt to watch, dude. Even if it was intentional, it still hurt to watch. I want that direct the explosion up to the engine bay. Forge, watch like right up here. Watch up at the top. Yeah, it very clearly did that. Yeah. Would make it easier to integrate if they could just change the gimbal mount for a solid mount, and engines are all built the same otherwise. Yeah. Like a turbo blanket? Pretty much, Finn. That looks like, yeah, that's actually a pretty apt way to put it. That, yeah, it looks like a turbo blanket. That's yeah, that's what I would call that. It was a nice shade of green, Engine Uber. Oh yeah, you ain't kidding, man. Oh, that hurts to watch. Yeah, Tessa, indeed. Raptor rides the elevator down. What Raptor? There ain't no Raptor left. That's just some metal. I mean, cars get destructively crash tested on, so no biggie. Yeah, no, you're not wrong, dude. Yeah, we got to get used to that, right? What fuel would they be using? Methane. Liquid methane and liquid oxygen, Yorks. Yeah. That's why when the motor pops, right? Watch. Oh, when the motor pops, you see all the soot? That's partially burnt carbon from methane. Methane has carbon and 4 hydrogen. So there's a little bit of orangeness going on there, which is the hydrogen burning. Or hydrogen burns orange if it's fuel rich. If there's more hydrogen than oxygen in the area, right? It's going to burn orange like that. But there's also burning dark too. It's methane. Oh, dude, I hate watching this. Now, Hellfish, to be fair, I hate watching crash tests too. Crash tests really bother me. You want to know? You want the example? You want the example? Does this bother you? What are they trying to prove? They're trying to prove that older cars aren't safe. I'll tell you why. In the 60s and in the late 60s, early 70s, they invented something called a collapsible steering column. Meaning that the steering column in a car will crumple. It actually is like a telescope. So if it gets hit, it'll close like a telescope. It's called a collapsible steering column. Here's why. Watch this and watch the guy's face. Oh, you want a free nose job? That's why. That's why. Yeah. Meanwhile, the other steering column just collapses and guy hits the airbag. Yeah. Older cars aren't exactly safe to drive. That's why, like, guys, so like my 59, the 59 Ford, I have a collapsible steering column in it. So if I do get in a head on, the steering column will crumple and not hit me in the face. Poor Bel Air could have been someone's hot rod. Yeah. The thing is, guys, you didn't need this crash test to prove it. That's not anything we didn't know. Just look at the medical records from head-on collisions in the 60s. Nothing we didn't know. Broken nose from the airbag is better than broken everything else. Yeah, you see how the steering column is not collapsible. So when the car hits it, it just moves backwards and it takes the dash with it. Yeah. You see it, look, it pulled the entire dashboard with it. That's not good. That's why if you have an older car, you put a collapsible column in it so that doesn't happen. Otherwise, it's not, I'm not going to sit there and say it doesn't have airbags or anything, right? But yeah, that's a big one. Collapsible steering columns came around in the late 60s, early 70s. It was a huge safety innovation. Many years ago, I left 16 teeth in the steering wheel. Damn. Yeah, if you put a collapsible column in those old cars, they're not too bad. The thing about the old cars is that they don't go very fast. So if you do hit something, it's not going to be at a high rate of speed. So that with a collapsible steering column, it's not like, if we're talking about factors of safety, it's not the most unsafe thing around. I was talking with actually Brimo's dad about this the other day. Cars nowadays are too safe. Hear me out. This is one of those things where I say it out loud and it might sound stupid, but then again, I do that a lot. So I think that cars nowadays are super freaking safe. And because they're super safe, people drive more recklessly. When the car is less safe to drive, you have to focus on your driving skills to not crash the car and not get a face full of steering wheel, right? Right? It sounds stupid. It sounds stupid when you think about it, but or it sounds stupid at face value, but when you think about it, it's like, Like, you make a safer car, people will have more catastrophically bad accidents, right? Yeah, the pads in football have made the hits worse. The more they pad up the helmet, Hellfish, the worse the concussions are going to get. Yeah, goalie. Oh, I don't. That's not fair to her. Don't talk about that. But yeah. Well-known phenomenon. Constant perceived risk. Yeah. Engine Uber, when I'm driving around the truck, I haven't done that in a little while. When I'm driving around like the Coronet or whatever, I don't go fast. You don't go too fast in that car. And if I do, I'm going to make sure there's nobody around and it's on a place, that kind of allows you to go fast. Other than that, dude, I'm low and cruising with that thing. You do not want to get hit with when you're behind the wheel of that thing. So you don't drive very fast. Yeah, exactly, Tessa, right? I hear bare knuckle boxing can be safer. Interesting. Still, even if you put in collapsible steering columns in them, it's still people that are the unsafe part of the vehicles. Yeah. Like I said, Roadrunners, I'm not going to say that it's like as safe as a modern car, right? No way. I mean, that footage is a pretty good example as to why. But also at the same time, I'd feel better with the collapsible column. But the best thing is to just not be a crappy driver. Yeah. But then again, you still have to kind of worry about other people too. But that, that's just being a good driver. That guy's driving like an idiot. I'm not going to be near that. I'm going to drive over here. I've done that many times. To like the point where I'll just take a different road because I'm like, I don't want to be near this person because they're on their phone. Nope. Just take a different route. Anyway, yeah. Interesting thing. Here, I got more space news for you, dudes. Here, take a look. JPL, Mars helicopter update. The rotorcraft is scheduled to take flight 33 no earlier than September 24th. Its goal is to reposition itself traveling west 111 meters with a max altitude of 10 meters. They are still doing helicopter on Mars. Interesting guy, yeah. Huh. I have a friend who works in the space industry, and I've asked him about the Raptor shield that was tested by SpaceX, and I got this reply. Was the blast disc contained somewhat protecting the neighboring engines? You don't want to direct the blast upwards and accidentally direct shrapnel up towards the tank or shear the engine mounts. Steel engines in a can may not be the best option. Kevlar jacketing acting as punching bags may be better. Luckily, it is also flame and heat resistant. Yeah, turbo blankets. Yeah, Forge. I think they're just testing. I don't think that's the final design. I was just about to say I'm a very defensive driver, but that doesn't mean someone else won't ruin the day. Yeah. Darius, I just... Dude, when I'm driving, like up on the highway, if I'm driving with Brimo, sometimes Brimo's like trying to tell me something, and I'm just like, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. And she's like, why aren't you listening to me? And I'm like, I am trying to not park us up a tree right now because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of information to process around here. You know, like, I'm like, can you just give me like 5 minutes till we get to the destination? Then I'll listen, I swear. And then I do, right? I'm not trying to, not that I'm not trying to talk, right? Like, I'm just trying to focus on the road because you got to keep your head on a swivel on these roads, man. How is Brimo, by the way? She's great. Yeah, everything's good. We can't complain. I made lunch today before the stream, Audrey. I made carbonara ramen again. Yeah. Pan fry some bacon and ramen noodles. So you soften the noodles up. Don't cook them the whole way. All right. Pan fry the ramen noodles. Ow, that was my elbow. Take them out. Pan fry the noodles with the bacon. Simmer the noodles in the bacon grease. Take 2 eggs, Parmesan cheese, mix that up into a nice slurry. Pour that on. Salt and pepper, done. Takes about 15 minutes. It's delicious. Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah. Pan fry, dude, it works. It works. It works, and it's frigging awesome. Like, only use the yolks, trust me. Yeah, I made that for Brie today, and then I pan fried some green beans. Trying to not eat like dog crap, but pan frying green beans though. Green beans, garlic, salt and pepper. Just sit there and just sit there and move it around. Baby steps. Yeah, right. I had carbonara for dinner. Only use the yolks. Okay. All right. If you need HelloFresh, I don't need somebody to choose what I need to eat to do healthy. I'm trying to be a functioning adult here. What is that, Forge? Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, that's dangerous. Green beans are underrated. Dude, you put some garlic, salt, and pepper on those things, maybe a little bit of butter. Yeah, dude, you could eat that all day. Whole kernel corn with butter, lots of pepper. Frying pan garnished with pimento. Only use the yolks. All right. Only use the yolks, trust you. Okay. Recipe is in the description. All right. I have more bacon left over. I don't know how, but I have more bacon left over. Guys, I can't show this on stream. People will get mad at me. Yeah, I can't show that on stream. Old Bay seasoning. All right. All right, Core, what is that? This is coming from... Oh, yeah. We saw that yesterday. It's a lot of C3, man. Make Voyager look like a freaking Girl Scout picnic. Yeah, that's right, Enko. All right, good point. Good point. Okay. All right, let me transfer the rest of these links and then we'll go from there. There's flyover pictures that Greg Scott took, and we'll check those out. Those would be pretty cool. What is this guy trying to do here? Ever had Scotch eggs? No. I only use the yolks. All right, I'll do that. I'll do that next time. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna make it tomorrow. I'll only use the yolks. How many eggs should I use if we're only using the yolks? I'm making what is it, like I have a 10-inch skillet, right? And I use 2 packages of ramen. How many yolks should I use? The yolk's on you. No, it's not. I ate it today. 4, Huzzah? I used 2 today, and I mixed it in with Parmesan, right? And it didn't, it wasn't really cheese saucy, more like I coated ramen in scrambled eggs. But it was still good, like, don't get me wrong, but yeah. Yeah. Depends on the size of the eggs. There are 2 people, I'd say go with 4. 4? Yeah, I only used 2. Okay. All right, we'll try 4 with the Parmesan tomorrow. Oh, okay, Tessa. Scotch pie. Oh. Spiced mutton. Okay. It's diced meat inside of a pastry. Meat pie. Yummy. Use less water when you make the ramen so you have starch water. Mix cheese into egg before you slowly mix it into the pasta. Yeah, that's what I usually do. Then use your starchy water to thicken the sauce. About to go get the laptop and some webcams and do a cooking stream, man. Hey, Corey. Yeah, it's been a while, dude. What have you been up to? Hopefully something good. I moved. I stream in a giant garage now with all my cars and stuff, which is pretty cool. Do it? No. Not today. Give me some time to prep. But also, here, look at this, chat. I'm not sure if this is from Flight Simulator or in real life. Yeah. That stresses me the frick out, man. Oh my god. I hope he had the AC on recirculate. Oh my god. Stop! Oh my god, what are you doing? I know the plane's stuck, but oh my gosh, just call the tow ring! Just call the tow ring! Oh my god! Just call the tow ring, bro! Jeez! Oh my goodness! Just call. Hey, I'm stuck. Please help. Oh my goodness. You're throttling the engines next to the terminal. Do I need to explain why that's a bad idea? Do I need to do we need to explain this? I don't want to explain. Help me, step plane. I'm stuck. Forget all that. That sound though. No, just on a side note, that is pretty cool. But also, like, if there's people on this, so what happens when what happens if the wheels get unstuck? You start going forward. The terminal's right there. It's right there. You're not gonna stop in time. That's a lot of momentum to get going, and it's gonna take a lot of brakes to stop. So unless the brakes have the clamping force that's somewhere in line with the engine thrust, the amount of force that's generated by the engines, you ain't stopping. Oh boy. The tarmac is wet too. Yeah, so if you lock the tire, oh my god. On a side note, though, that is pretty cool. Dude, what the hell? And the tires are slick with mud. Oh my god. Dude, there's no. There's that had to be like, guys, that had to be like hey, guys, we are stuck and the tow rig doesn't work. We have to try to get this plane out because it's stuck. That has to be like a last resort. No pilot would do that. I know this for a fact. No pilot would do that. Unless it was like absolutely, we got to get this thing moving. You know? Use the thrust reversers. I don't think that'd help. I have a number for you to call by that. Yeah. Hold my bear, I got this. Yeah. It looks like I picked the wrong day. We need to quit sniffing glue. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Help me, Step Toe Chuck. I'm stuck. Oh god. I can't, dude. That's terrible. That's horrible. I can't do it. What are you doing? Oh my goodness. All right. So, next space news. So, this is coming from Gav, who kind of follows what the SpaceX fleet is doing. Shannon is leaving for some upgrades, I believe, in Tampa. They're going to be upgrading some. This is something on the vessel. This is a Dragon recovery ship. What type of ship, you say? Well, it's a converted 170 class DP-1, 170 feet long. Divide that by 3, you get your meters. Yep. This class of ship is called a rig tender. It's designed to tend to oil rigs. Basically, a flatbed truck in boat form. Well, no, she's going to move to get Crew 5 and support Crew 5. Oh, yeah, Tampa, not Jacksonville. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. Sorry, falsely reported. My bad. If it's going over to Tampa, it's getting ready for the recovery zones for Dragon. Yeah. Okay, let me get my story straight. What's the other one? Megan? It's Megan and Shannon, right? Megan is getting worked on, right? That's what's going on, right? That's where I pulled that out. Or I maybe dreamed it. I don't know. Fill me in. Megan is not being worked on either. Did I dream that? Bob was getting worked on last month in New York. Okay. One of them was. All right, cool, sweet. Yeah, all right, I got it. Bob. Okay. All right, cool. One of them was being worked on. Thank you, Thomas. You guys are more fleet nuts than me. Bob's already back in service. Bab. All right, cool. So it's going for Dragon recovery. Got it. Yeah. Sorry about that. My bad. Anyway, next bit here. So this is coming from Nick and Sweeney. Actually, they've check that out. They did some water tests on the pad at Boca Chica after they took Booster 7 off. No, that's not a pad deluge system. That's a fire suppressor. Not enough water to be a pad deluge system. That's a suppression system in case there's a fire on the pad. Not like I keep track of which vessel gets deployed or anything. Yeah, I know. That's why I deferred to your judgment. Bremo's later going to ask, who's Shannon? I think Bremo knows what that means, but anyway, yeah, the Rainbow Maker. What a shot. Yeah, Cord, that's not enough water for 33 Raptor engines. Not even close. You're going to need to deliver way more water than that. In fact, I'm still wondering how the heck they're going to do it. But you can see that there's a little bit of coking left over here from the static fire. See it? Yep. Unburnt and partially burnt carbon. Here's how it's called. Fire compression supplying. How's it versus grass fires? Damn. That's SpaceX making rainbows to steal the gold. Next revenue stream. Yep. The only way I can think of is to dig a great big Soyuz trench and fill it with water. I mean, Tessa, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Russians don't have it right. You want to worry about the flames? Worry about the flames affecting something? You worry about the sound? Just dig a big hole underneath the rocket. Digging a hole is easy. Trying to engineer a sound suppressor is a pain in the butt. Anybody can dig a hole. It's not the worst idea, dude. Like, I'm just saying. It's not the worst idea. So what I'm referring to, guys, is so Soyuz MS-22 launched the other day. It launched 2 cosmonauts and an astronaut next up to the ISS. They did dock, but Soyuz-style launch pads are, just dig a big hole. The thing is, though, yeah, exactly, Panther. That's where I was going with it. You can't do this in Florida. It would make a lake. Yeah, you can't do this in Florida. You could do it in Vandenberg. Vandenberg would be fine, yeah. Or Mid-Atlantic, probably not either. Yeah. But you'd want the lake. You don't want to fire the rocket engine into a body of water, Tessa. No, that's a bad idea. Depth charge. No. You want water droplets. You don't want standing water. You want flowing water. Flowing water is what intercepts the sound, particularly the droplets. Depth charge. Don't rocket into water equals depth charge. Yeah, bad idea. Don't do that. Anyway, so they did test the fire suppressor, and once again, there was a label on the pipe that Zach took a picture of, but also at the same time, I could tell you that this is not a sound suppressor. That's for fire suppression. There's not enough water. That's not enough water for a sound suppressor or a pad deluge. I want a volcano base with a launch site. Not if you talk to the water politely enough. Yeah. And sound would reflect off the standing water just like solid ground. Yep. What if you lowered the water's density by bubbling the air through it? I don't know. It'd be like a hot tub up in there. Now that's a hot tub stream I could get behind. Never mind. Hey, Tweets, what's going on? How's it going? About as good as my last comment. No, it's going fine, man. All right. So, interesting thing about Ship 24. I wasn't sure what they were doing, but this kind of basically seals the deal. So, on Ship 24, guys, they it looks like they welded up the Starlink dispenser. Oh, good. We're not listening to whatever heck we were listening to last night. Just kidding. So it looks like they welded up the payload dispenser, which tells me that Ship 24 is going to be a straight orbital flight test. Hey, what was that? I liked it. No, this isn't the song that Hokie was talking about, I don't think. Oh, it was. Oh, well, this is awkward. Totally not the one I was talking about. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this one isn't bad. Yeah. So yeah, they welded up the payload dispenser. This was like their prototype payload bay, and Starlink dispenser. From what I can tell, yeah, that's definitely been. She's been waddelled. The real question is, what are these brackets for? There's a bunch of gussets that have a hole in them on there. I'm not sure what those are about. Needs more demonic goat. Yeah. I wonder if the FAA told them no. Well, for deploying payload Aqualux, especially Starlink, that would be the FCC, if I'm remembering right. But yeah, maybe the FAA too. But I don't know. It could be alphabets, man. Those are what they lifted it by? Yeah, okay, Darius, I got you, man. Yeah. That's how they hoisted that big panel up there. Got it. Yeah. Hey, yeah, this is the other one you guys wanted me to see. Let me take a look. Yeah. Oh, they straight up welded that sucker shut. Look at that thing. Yeah, that last one. Yeah, there you go. Cool. All right. What is this, Forge? Test models of the Piaseki's Air Jeep concept. Designed in the 50s, it could carry up to 3 passengers and cruise at roughly 60 knots. The U.S. Army would ultimately abandon the flying Jeep concept as most designs were low-ranged, complex, or otherwise impractical. Yo! Whoa! It's welded. Firework, it's welded. Whoa! It's got a cannon on it. It's kind of cool. How do you fly it? The last one. Tell me that's rear firing. Is that a recoilless rifle? I really hope you're firing it when you're not flying, because that could be problematic. It could be problematic. All right. Anyway, let's see what else we got. We got flyover pictures coming from Periel and Greg Scott here. Let's see. Let's take a look. Greg Scott. You really need to try this in Flight Simulator. That's what the hell. Forge. All right. I gotta cover this stuff, dude. We got an F1 race tonight. What? But what the frick, though? Whoa! That's. He looks like he's a little bit behind it, but also. What the hell? No. I don't like that at all. Dude, I don't like that at all. These people crazy. What are you doing? That's like asking for death. I would stand next to it, guys. I would be right here where this picture gets taken. As long as you're out of the way of the airplane, I'd be right here. Those three right there, though, you guys are crazy, man. I wonder how many aircraft have clipped that railing. Well, it's clearly been replaced. Look. Look, it's all different colors. It's clearly been replaced. I don't want to do that at all. Yeah, I don't. Maybe lie down on the pavement, dude, but also I don't. Nope. Nah. Nope. Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need to do that ever. Like, yeah, no, a hard pass. I'm gonna be over there. Yeah, right. Okay, you do that. So, yeah, okay. So a little bit of a subject change. Greg Scott had got some flyover pictures. Look, the tower at 39A is stacked. I want to spin the tires with my hand as it passes. That, dude, I get it. That's some Call of the Void stuff, though. This place is threshold, not on my watch. This is like bull running, but for aviation nerds. Yeah. Look at that monster. What a nice rocket, man. Dude, look at this. Come on now. That tower is huge. 150 meters, man. 150 meters. That's the 500 feet tall. That's pretty big. That is a pretty big tower. It's as tall as the VAB is, man. I mean, like, look at the scale here. Look at the cars parked at the 39A HIP. Heck, the 39A HIP looks tiny compared to that. That is not a small building. They're also digging a retention pod for water from the deluge. Yeah, it's over there, right? It's on the other side. That city is taller than everything in my province's capital city. Everything, yeah. Speaking of, that building is growing like a freaking weed. Unbelievable. On the right of the white tent. Huh? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see it over there. Yep. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Once again, Greg Scott for these pictures here. I'll link him again. Let's see what else we got here. Tank cleaning and testing. Or second stage tank cleaning and testing. That's a Blue Origin facility there. They're gonna basically put the tanks from the second stage inside of this and clean them and then test them. Hence, tank cleaning and testing. I know, very apt name. So it's not just a clever name.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Tessa, 76-month resub. I'm pretty sure that tower is taller than the Lightning Towers at 39B. Unbelievable. Shortfall of Gravitas is right there, and it just pulled another Falcon 9 off of that. The barge didn't. The crane, that Libra crane did. That's why the gift didn't go through. Oh. 2023 Lego is a 2023 Lego release is apparently going to have a LR 13,000 at $450. A Lego Liebherr 13,000. Like, we're talking like Lego Technic here, right? Like it works. Can you? All right. Do we have pictures? Do we have pictures? Pictures? If it's not 8 feet tall, I'll be a little disappointed. No pictures at the moment. I'm wondering if you can reconfigure it like you can with a regular lattice crawler crane. Because that would be nice. That would be really freaking cool. And also, do we know the scale? What's the scale of it? Because if it's like a 1/32nd scale, well, theoretically, you could lift 1/32nd of what the real one can lift. This crane, we're gonna see if this crane can move bricks around and stuff and like cinder blocks. You know, we'll see how accurate it is to the real physics. I'd love to do that to to actually use it to move stuff. That's cool. In case you guys are wondering what we're talking about, a Liebherr 13,000 is a freaking huge crane. SpaceX uses something like it to build, like that's the type of crane that SpaceX used to like move Starship around. That's what it looks like. I hope it's not that. Yeah. I built a Lego MOS DLR 13,000 and I'm working to make it configurable. No way, Reb. Yeah, that's a big honking crane, dude. All right. Anyway. That's really cool. Yeah. Big Chungus. Big Chungus. There's a little brother of that crane right there. This is where they built all the things for the pad. It looks like they're staging wire there. It's probably wiring for the building over there. This is an older one, but cool. Turn off the sound. It's loud. Have I seen this one before? I forget, Jackal. Yeah, I think you might be right. Oh, that's cool. Yep, all right. I'd prefer to have the real one, but that's really cool. Yeah, see, that's what I'm wondering. Does it work like the real one? If they have something like that, will it work like the real one? If it does, I'm gonna be happy because we'll buy it and then we'll drive it around the garage and pick stuff up and move it. That thing was sick, man. Remember, we got 20-foot ceilings in here, guys. 20-foot ceilings. You know? We got. Just saying. All right. What pictures does Fariel have? Let's see what. Rocket Engine bidding war update. It went up over $1,000, Sile. Not in the cards for me. Oh, there's an 11,000 right there. There's one. Hungry fella. There you go. Oh, there's another one right there. Oh, hey, look, now there's 2 of them. All right. The draw works for Demos arrived. The draw works? No, BD, but that's
Discovery.
cool.
Go at throttle up.
That's a 1300? Oh, all right. Nah, I don't care. Never mind. Stick on the other hand, now there are 2 of them. We should not have made this bargain. First picture, the thing next to the red crane. The draw works are next to the 11,000 in the previous photo. Yeah, Zizep, I saw it, dude. Yeah. That's a SpaceX crane. Yeah, Katra, SpaceX just buys cranes nowadays. Yeah. Fellas, I'm being just particularly dumb today. What are draw works? Draw works from Demos, so it's an oil rig part that I'm looking for? Anybody know why the wide base frame is white? I have no idea. Whoa. Is that 3D printed, BD? Unbelievable. Think of a big winch system. Oh, draw. Okay, yeah. Like those things right there. Draw works of the lifting for. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So like the pulleys, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's just a bunch of pulleys, like kind of going up and down, back and forth. No, it's PVC pipe. He softened into PVC sheets, then cut it out by hand. Yikes. Whatever happened to the oil rigs that SpaceX bought? Well, apparently they're taking parts off of the oil rigs and using them to make launch pads. Pop, I don't really have a better word. You can see them in the second photo near the SpaceX crane. Also, there's a bunch of landing legs sitting over there for anybody that cares. Yep. That thing, right? Yep. Yeah, it's a massive winch. Yeah. You guys, how do you know? I trust you. How do you know they lifted it off the oil rig? They bought the rigs to take these systems out. I firmly believe that, Apocalypsis. The original chopstick arms, guys, when they made the ones at Boca Chica, they came in and they looked like they came off of a scrapped oil rig. And I'm like, that's not new stock. That's recycled from something. Because all the pipes were like yellow and orange and stuff. Pretty sure SpaceX bought like Phobos and Deimos, you know, like they want to make them into launch pads eventually. They've said that they want to do that, but I'm pretty sure they borrowed all the rigging off of the oil rig and used it to make the catch tower and stuff. Parts of the catch tower. Yeah, I mean, why not? It has the parts that you need. Those things are designed to lift up in crazy things, right? Like, you're supposed to lift up the drill bits with that. The drilling bits from the oil rig, which is unbelievable. Let me take a look at these pictures here. I don't know why they're painted white either. My only guess is that it's a different contractor. But look, they already laid down all the crane ties everywhere. See them? That's so that crane can turn, go in here, and assemble the building from the inside. A lot of tubes for drill bits, right? Yep. Dude. Ram 3500 with a flatbed dually quad cab. Now we're talking. That's a nice truck. It's got Cummins in it. So that white stuff is the building parts? I think so. Yeah. Dude, look at the crane compared to that damn truck. Look at the crane's as big as a house. The scale here is just unbelievable. The Drawworks hoist has a 1,000-ton capacity. The one at Boca came from Phobos. Oh, there you go. 1,000-ton capacity. Well, yeah, okay. Yep, that's overkill for what they need, but yeah, you don't want it to fail either, and it's off the shelf. You want scale, Kappa? Nope. Not from you. Huh. Hold on a second, goalie. Hold on. Oh, SpaceX for... Where's the, Where's the Falcon 9 transporter? Are you telling me that they're moving Falcon 9s around so quickly that they need 2 transporters? Because that's what that thing is designed to do. Don't worry about that trailer. I mean, that's clearly for Falcon 9. It has the brackets on it. See the C-shaped bracket? That's clearly for the Falcon 9. Jeez. They use both of those things? Why is it so long? That's how long Falcon 9 is, Hokey. Is it really? Falcon 9s are 150 feet tall. The first stage. It's a 15-story building, man. This is Falcon 9. This is the small one. I mean, yeah, dude, it's a huge rocket. I mean, yeah, you stand up next to one close. Here, actually, look in the background. See the landing legs? Those are landing legs. That reads pretty well for the rest of the scale here. Yeah, that Falcon 9 is tiny compared to Starship, guys. Like, if you look at SLS, a Falcon 9 first stage is about as tall as one of the SRBs. That's about it. Maybe a little shorter, actually. Yeah, crazy, right? Go back a few pictures, look at the people on the roof. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay. Aren't you a little short for an SRB? Huh? Oh, the steel casings. I'm 5-segment SRB. I've come to launch you on Ares 1. I'm here with Orion. Orion? Where is he? Come on. You think you can throw a Star Wars reference past me, bud? Ain't gonna happen. How much do you think Starship could yeet if we fit 5-segment SRBs onto the booster? Uh... Okay. Hellfish, if we were going to do that, if we were going to do this, how I would do this, if say you could put 2 of SLS's SRBs on the side of a Super Heavy with Starship on the top, okay? If we were going to do this, here's how I'd do it. At initial start, right? At initial start, I would light 20 Raptors, the outside ring of 20 Raptors, with the SRBs. Send that. That would be more than enough TWR to get it off the pad. And then, when the SRBs flame out, air start the rest. Yep. Yep. You'd have to expend Super Heavy. Super Heavy would be going way too fast to be able to come back. It would go way too far down range. So, unless you have a landing pad somewhere else. But, honestly, now that I'm really thinking about it, the other way to do that would be to just take the outside ring of 20 Raptors off and then just light the center 13 engines and then go from there. And if you did that, you'd get something probably analogous to like Ares 5. It would be actually probably be better than Ares 5. Yeah, yeah, that's like a 250 ton to low Earth orbit throw. Easily. You might even SSTO a Starship stack with that. That's how powerful the SRBs are. Checking out to watch Steelers Browns. Catch you later. Yeah. Yeah. Think I'll have to take you and your word. One and one. I had to Google it, Audrey. I forgot. I don't know. I didn't even know if you guys. Anyway, that would be pretty nutty. Can we have it, please? What if we took a Delta 2 and a Super Heavy with 5 segments, though? Just put a heat shield on it and fly it around with 1 lap. Okay. All right, guys. I got another idea. You take Starship, and you just take 2 5-segment. Actually, you know what? You really don't need it. Take 2 4-segment SRBs, shuttle SRBs now, and just put them on the sides of Starship. 6 engines, 3 vacuum optimized, 3 in the center. The SRBs will get you a good way there, and then you burn the rest of the way into orbit. Starship's almost external tank size. It would work. You probably take a hit on payload capacity just a little bit. But you guys got to remember, 2 SRBs, 2 of them. 2 of those SRBs on SLS produce about half of Super Heavy's thrust. If you had 4 of them, 4 of those SRBs pretty much equal Super Heavy in terms of thrust. That's how powerful they are. Yeah. Crazy. No, it's ridiculous how powerful those SRBs are. They're the most powerful rocket engines flown by a long shot. Let's really do this. Full Starship stack, 2 shuttles on either side, Starship and 8 SRBs and a star pattern on the booster. Ah, yes, you want untitled spacecraft. Yeah, here. You know, you got like AA2, Minotaur, Antares, Falcon, Atlas, Delta, the Shuttle, Saturn V, Saturn Nova, SLS, untitled spacecraft. Untitled spacecraft. Oh my god. Oh jeez. It's the best meme ever, dude. It's pretty funny. Untitled spacecraft, 362 tons. It has Falcon boosters and SLS boosters and 3 SLS cores next to each other with Delta IV LOX tanks on top of that, with the space shuttle and an external tank bolted to the SLS, the center SLS core, with an S4B of stage adapter and an Apollo CSM at the top. So long story short, Starship with 2 4 segments on it, like the shuttle, that probably, if you could structurally figure that one out, it'd probably get into space. Yeah, it provided like you, I mean, the 1,000 of other problems that you wouldn't have from doing that. Yeah, that's enough Delta V. Oh yeah. Pete Kerbal, yep. Found online somewhere. Long Boy trailer. Yeah, that's a big trailer. Ooh. Could a shuttle land on Mars? Nah, not enough thrust, human. You'd need to use the orbiter maneuvering system. There's not enough thrust there.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Gaw gifted a sub to Cerebral. Yep, okay. There's a picture of it. Yep. I just want to see Super Heavy with 3 cores and a starship. Dude, I don't even know what the hell you do with that. Like, what? Like, can I just take Ares 5, fellas? Take Ares 5 and Ares 1. Heck, I'll take SLS with Block 2 boosters. So the BOLE carbon composite boosters and a carbon composite EUS. Yeah, I'll take that. That's like 200-ton throw. And that could easily exist. Yeah, we should do that. I'll take 5 Ares 5s, 11 Ares 1s, 2 SLSs with extra dip, 150 starships, 3 super heavy launch pads, and 1 space shuttle. Yeah, Rev, I want Ares 5 too. We all want Ares 5. RS-68A. How much thrust do those RS-68s make? 1,000 kilonewtons of thrust. You into board games at all? Have you checked out High Frontier for All? No, Real. I know, I like board games, but computer games killed my love for board games a long time ago. But board games are cool. Yeah. Yeah. SLS almost had 5 of these at the bottom of it. We came very close to having 5 of that. The R68A makes 3,100 kilonewtons of thrust out of the box. 3 of those can lift Delta IV Heavy. We had 5 of them in the core stage. More than RS-25s, but less efficient. Yeah. Oh my god. That would be freaking righteous, dude. How would that have worked out? If they wanted to, could they upgrade the SLS to have 5? No. Nah, Brand. No. I'm not even sure. I mean, Rev, do you think? I don't think we could even put 4 RS68s in there. I mean, it's designed for RS25E. The RS25E is basically a closed cycle RS68, guys. It's pretty much the same thing. But they switched it to a closed cycle because the ablator nozzles on the 68 weren't a good idea. Hey, Striker. Just here to press the button and then lurk. All right, 58 months. See you later. It would have been flying by now if they didn't cancel it. Yep. Yup. Dick. Stick. They switched this thing to SLS's mobile launcher, which is why it started sagging. Because it turns out when you build a mobile launcher that's designed to hold up a heavy launch vehicle, and then you convert it to a super heavy launch vehicle, it doesn't work very well. Hear me out. SLS with the Starship second stage. And double the SRVs. You don't even need to double the SRVs. You have an SLS and you somehow get a Starship on top of it. That would be nice. All right, dudes. I think that's it for space news. Oh, wait. No, just in. Relativity did another engine test. Headphone users. Okay, there's no sound. Never mind. Yeah. This is what you linked when you said the epilepsy warning. Yeah. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna watch that over here and see. Yeah, we probably shouldn't show the rest of that. It starts. Yeah. You can see. Yeah. Still doing it. Yep. Yeah, we don't need to. It's a long burn, and that's really good. But here, let's get to the end. Or Twitter video can just not get to the end. How long was this burn? Minute 30, give or take. Actually, they flamed it. Oh, it's a minute. It's a straight minute. There is space in the center of the SLS engine section to put another engine, but the thrust structure would have to be redesigned. It would be even more crowded for personnel. Yeah, Rev, it's already a pain in the butt to climb in there, from what I understand. I heard that from other folks. Honestly, if you RS25E, the RS25E, so the new RS25s that Aerojet Rocketdyne is going to make, it's pretty much an RS68 with a shuttle nozzle on it, guys. And shuttle derived turbo pumps. The new RS25s use a lot of RS68 technology, which is funny because the RS68 is derived from the SSME. Yeah, interesting, right? RS-25Es with carbon composite solid rocket boosters, so the Omega boosters on the sides, in a 5-segment configuration. So with the RS-25Es and then the EUS on top with an 8-meter fairing would be a dirty little rocket. That'd be really good. My Vans. Yeah, it is. It's an adult jungle gym. What's that, Jackal? Oh, the space. Yeah. I haven't shown this on stream, but I haven't showed it on stream, but I've seen it, dude. Yeah, here, look. Space Shuttle 10 billion voxel CFD on 8x64 gigabyte GPUs. Yep. Yeah, go. I know. This was from last week. You did link it. I did see it. I teed it up and then I lost it in the tabs, dude. You guys link a lot of stuff. The tabs on the browsers get really, really big, really, really fast. But yeah, look at how much drag that thing makes. Look at how much drag it makes over the top of the wings. The more red this is, the more drag you're making. See how the shuttle wings are designed to swirl the air like that? That's on purpose. That right there is what gives the shuttle crazy cross-range capability. And that also is what makes it, land. Now, don't get me wrong, with the hypersonics, it doesn't work exactly like that. This is simulating subsonic flow, if I'm looking at this correctly. All the voxels are killing your bit rate, yep. But yeah, it's designed to create a swirl over the top of the wing. Like Concorde, believe it or not. That makes it so the moment that's generated from when you pitch the nose up is just enough to make the shuttle hit 0 vertical speed and land. It helps improve the lift by keeping energy in the flow at high angles of attack. Yes. That, you said it better than me. Look at how much drag that thing is making. I saw a video about laminar flow recently. One way to improve it was 0.025 millimeter holes to give more parallel flow. The precision was nuts. More parallel flow, less drag. Yep, that's right. That's right, Foz. Yeah, that's why you see wing fences on early jet fighters. You see wing fences. There's like vertical stabilizers that are going over the main wings because you don't want air going sideways over the top of the wing. That's not good for it. The wing doesn't wing very well. You need air to move. Like if the wing is facing this way, right, and the plane's facing that way, you need air to move straight over the wing. You don't want it to move sideways, but when you have swept wings, it likes to move sideways off the end of the wing. It's a great simulation, to be honest. Simulating 108,000 time steps on 1608 by 4824 by 1280 resolution grid took 6 hours, plus 36 minutes for rendering two 30-second 4K 60 FPS videos. Isn't this like yeah, FluidX 3D. It's a open source CFD, right? Trains. Look at the screenshot. JR East Train Simulator. What? How much of JR East? I'd love to see what Dragon's profile looks like. What the hell? How did they... Those aren't screenshots, guys. Those aren't... That's not a screenshot. It's official sim by the company. Hang on. Let me see the trailer. GRE's Tune is a train driving simulator that lets you experience live action images. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's live action video superimposed over a video game. Now, I got a question. If you're driving the train around, does it just scrub through the video? That's what that looks like. No. That's really smart, man. That's really cool. No! Come back! Dang it! Oh, that's really cool, man. I wonder if you can you like stop the train and then drive it? Like, yeah, it looks like they just took a camera, shoehorned it on the front of one of their trains, and then just took videos of driving around, right? And then they took enough video driving around on the whole thing that you could, all you do is when you throttle the train on the HUD that's in front of you, it just plays the video. Have you played the new train simulator? No. No. I think it is time for a Hasta plan. Do you know why? Tony Stewart, you're the one that they call Smoke. What are you doing down there underneath the car? You look like a fucking wanker. Due to regional price differences, the gift you're trying to send cannot be sent to the recipient's region.